welcome. Tonight, it's a bit of something different here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live. We're going oval racing in America's backyard with a bit of a special event. This is going to be the 2017 CEA East versus West and the Rest Challenge, breaking out the Chevy National Impala, the K&N car at Iowa Speedway. Details on this event and all the coverage for the qualifying race, the 50-lap Legends event, and the 150-lap feature event coming in just a few moments' time. Join us. Welcome back to Racespot TV and iRacing Live as coverage begins now from the CEA East versus Rest and the West Challenge. I am Randy Chinnet, joined by Cisco Scaramuzza and Hugo Louis, bringing you all the action today at the Iowa Speedway. Cisco, let's be honest, this is going to be an interesting one. Not often we get these sort of special private events on the iRacing service, but every time we do, it's always great to shake it up a bit, get something a little different running.
Yeah, absolutely, Randy. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Iowa Speedway for night number 2 and what will be the night filled with all the important races. And we got qualifying out of the way just last night. Had about 30-something cars all go out there, make a time in qualifying. And today, well, the first race we're going to see, last chance qualifier. The guys who didn't make it into the field on time are going to have to race their way in. 4 of those guys able to make their way in. And then 4 guys will get provisionals, but everyone else who doesn't race into the top 4, they're going home.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate for them, but that's racing, and it's going to be rough out there. So just to sort of elaborate a little bit, like Cisco said, last night we had qualifying top 28 lock themselves in for the big feature event at the end of the night. We're going to get 4 people going in to the big feature event from this heat race, and then, as you said, 4 provisionals, of which 2 of the CEA drivers from the East region, 2 CEA drivers from the West and the Rest region. The regions, if you're curious, the East is classified as Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Michigan, New England, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginians. And the West and the Rest are considered Club West, Great Plains, Illinois, Mid-South, Midwest, Northwest, Texas, West, Canada, and all the other international regions. So the West guys, they have the advantage, Cisco, of really having access potentially to anyone in the world. But the East, I have to say, if there's anything these sorts of cars are really popular in, this is definitely an East Coast format style event. The K&N car is really popular in that part of the country.
Yeah, so ultimately it's going to favor those guys who've driven the cars a little bit more. Obviously, because these cars in more of a lower class, that means you have access to them a little bit earlier on the service here. And for those guys on the East Coast, they probably prefer these types of cars. It's very similar to the late model stocks and to the super late models that you might see in something like the Cars Tour or something like you see, and very similar. Well, these are the cars that run K&N Pro Series in real life. So for those guys, they're going to get a chance to, well, jump in the car and have a little bit of fun. And Randy, this is going to be really interesting because we've not really seen a whole lot of LCQ type formats on the iRacing service. I mean, you know, ultimately we see a lot of one race and you're done or season type formats. It's kind of come along with the introduction of dirt racing and kind of multi-stage events here, and this is going to be another one of these fantastic LCQs. And what's great about these is you basically have to race for your life, and that means a lot of desperate moves, a lot of hard racing, and you're not even racing to win the race, you're racing just to get your name on the board.
Yeah, you really are, and it's something that's really, really interesting, really, really unique. Normally we just see, as you said, qualifying, and then you just basically get your primary event. This style of racing, though, is something that's really, really popular, of course, through all the ovals in the United States, basically any local track they go to. I mean, you know, go to any short track any weekend, and they use this qualifying style format where you get heat races and time trials and blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, you go to, there's some other forms of racing, though, that use this as well. Cisco, most notably, something we're going to be getting on the servers, that's going to be Global Rallycross. But all that said and done, we're going to get your last chance qualifier race underway in just a few moments' time. We'll have the grid for that shortly. But as we said, 25 laps, top 4 advance. Looking at the grid, who do you think's the favorite?
Well, I gotta say, I gotta go with that 32 of Seth DeMerchant. I was surprised he didn't make it in on qualifying time, but the 32 always been fast on the track. He's a Class A driver. This is a guy who knows how to get it done, and really a strong favorite. I'd say even if he makes it into that main and that final, Seth's really going to be fast because his teammate Christian Peterson put up one of the fastest times of the day just in qualifyings one day ago.
So now going down the starting grid for the 11-car qualifying race, coming away on the pole is Brad Carpenter in the number 31. Outside of that front row, going to be the 9 of Josh Lee. Inside of row number 2, you can have Matt Hummel and Abbas Ladak starting outside there. Bob Lutz and Tyler Daniels, they make up the 3rd row. As you talked about, that 32 is Seth DeMerchant. He's going to roll off 7th on row number 4. Outside of him, going to have Charles Lahr, Ryan Nichols, and Jonathan Meetney. They're going to make up row 5, with AJ Rogers being all sorts of lonely by himself in row number 6. So 25 laps, pretty quick race as far as these guys are concerned. These cars are used to doing some long events, but really, if you're just getting yourself into this one, yeah, it's going to seem short, Cisco, but this is going to be an intense 25 laps, especially if you're sitting 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, trying to get your way through that field or defend those transfer positions.
Yeah, absolutely, Randy. We'll talk a bit about this Iowa Speedway since we have another pace lap here, designed and built by Rusty Wallace and the Paxton Walters Architectural Group. This was built in 2006, and progressive banking is the name of the game here. Your turns, you got about 12 to 14 degrees of banking. You got about 10 degrees of banking on the front straightaway, 4 degrees on the back straightaway, and just under a mile and 0.875 for those of you keeping track. This will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. The other thing you have to talk about here at Iowa, of course, the progressive baking. You can't see multi-groove action happening here. Also, the other thing that contributes to that, the bumps. The inside of this racetrack can be very, very bumpy. A lot of the other bigger NASCAR cars, it's common to see them get down away from the bottom and run that second groove to get away from the bumps. That said, second pace lap almost complete. iRacing Mustang safety car getting ready to come down onto pit road, and we're going to find out who the last 4 drivers getting themselves into the CEA East versus West of the Rest main event is. Green flag is in the air, and Brad Carpenter is in charge of the field. They go storm across the start-finish line down into turn number 1 for the first time, and Cisco, I have to say, that outside row from about 2nd place on back in that outside row, not a good jump at all as Josh Lee storms out to your race lead, coming off corner number 2.
Yeah, lead did an excellent job getting out to the lead early, and now Carpenter is going to fall back to second. Seth the Merchant, meanwhile, all the way up through the field. He's already third right now, and we're not even across the line. There we go. First lap in the book. Seth the Merchant went from 7th to 3rd that time. Right behind him, Matt Hummel in that 93, trying to track him down, but the battle for the lead, rather, was starting to heat up, but the 31 of Carpenter got a little bit loose, lost time, and now he's under attack from the 32 of DeMerchant.
So top four, let's keep track as they run, are Josh Lee, Brad Carpenter, Seth DeMerchant, and Matt Hummel. Here comes that 31 machine, though, of Brad Carpenter. He wants your race lead, and he's going to get it as they storm down into corner number 1, but the 9 fights back on the top side. The 9 machine, I think, drove it in a little bit too hard, doesn't get a good run up off the corner. Brad Carpenter, I think, is just about clear and could get a nose, but right now here, Cisco, these top 4, these transfer positions, they are well clear of the rest of the field. Abbas Ladak currently runs in the 5th spot, 1.2 seconds back of Matt Hummel. These top 4, I think, they need to be smart and they need not to fight each other too hard, because as they sit, I think they're going to be able to break away.
And Abbas now going to lose that 5th position to AJ Rogers in the 00. Ladak going to try and fight back on the bottom side. There was a car in the wall to the back of your field here. I think it was Bob Lutz. No, it was Tyler Daniels in the 25, so he's going to start sliding backwards. And AJ Rogers has taken over that 5th position. Now battle for 3rd. Matt Hummel to the inside. And meanwhile, Seth DeMerchant has taken the lead.
The big news happening amongst your top 4. Matt Hummel gets P3. Seth DeMerchant gets P1 all the way from back on 7th on the grid. You said that 32 machine, expect him to be quick, and you're absolutely right. You're already seeing here, Cisco. You talk about the progressive banking, and we talked about the bumps as well down at the bottom. Already seeing drivers opt for different lines here. You see Seth DeMerchant running through the top in 3 and 4, goes just about to the bottom through 1 and 2, but stays well clear of the bumps all the way down to the bottom. Then you see some drivers opting for the middle all the way around. One of the fantastic points about this racetrack is how multi-groovable it is. Look at them, they're almost up against the wall through 3 and 4 as they come to the end of lap number 6.
Yeah, and Seth DeMerchant leading the way at the moment. They've started to space out, though. AJ Rogers tracking down Josh Lee here, and what a time for Rogers to hit the go button here. He waited a little bit, wasn't quick immediately on the uptake, but now going after side by side with the 9 of Lee. Not going to happen this time. He's going to fall back in line off of 2, back into turn 3. The 00 is going to have to try again. Rogers, and caution is going to be out here.
This is Jonathan Nee, looks like coming off of corner number 2, got into some trouble and just clipped that apron on the inside, kicked that number 18 machine loose, got that car up into the wall, and then he just caught Tyler Daniels. Not quite sure how bad the damage on that 25 machine is going to be, but that was potentially a really, really hard hit. Might be 2 cars out of it at the end of that incident.
Yeah, at the end of the day, any damage you're going to get, Randy, here, if you have to go down pit road and repair anything and take yourself out of a race, you're basically done. So I think for those 2 guys, depending on what the damage is to their car, I really don't think they have a realistic shot at going up to the top 4 and trying to battle to get into this race. They're just going to have to hold on and hope that something happens to the guys in front of them.
Absolutely right. So first yellow flags here tonight. If this is going to, I believe the qualifying rules mirror what we have in the feature event. These guys, I don't think they're going to be able to go down on the pit road and change tires at all. So these guys in the 25 lap feature, what you started the race on is what you're going to get. Now, actually talking about the point, Cisco, let's talk about that while we have the chance. That 155 lap feature event, 75 laps in 2 segments. Each segment you have to run on the same set of tires. For a lot of these normal oval guys, you know, people who do just the normal races on the iRacing service, the official races, that's really unique because for the most part in the official races, if you get a caution, you can come down and can constantly get new tires. Not a lot of people can say they've done a 75 lap run on the same set of rubber on the iRacing service. Just not something that really happens all that much.
No, it isn't. It adds an extra challenge. Some of the guys kind of familiar with that. Seth DeMerchant, just one of them. Brad Carpenter, guys who have run in other events that CEA have put on, like the Cars Esport Tour, stuff like that. That's normal for them, and a lot of the late model leagues as well, stuff like Sarah, stuff like Upstate, they kind of run a similar rules package, but different variants. Some say you can only jack up the car twice. Some say you can only take left side tires. So different kind of regulations depending on which late model group you go with here, but either way, for these national cars, like, excuse me, like you said, not a whole lot of leagues that use this car really take that rule into effect, because either you're going to have guys using the cars to kind of simulate older NASCAR races, or you have them running like the K&N series.
that you do. Still under caution here. I'm expecting the lights to go out next time by, and you know who has to be loving these yellow laps? Those guys in the top 4, because it just ticks laps away from how much they have to defend, and especially if you're Josh Lee, knowing they had AJ Rogers knocking on your door, this is going to allow you a bit of a chance to defend here once we get back to green flag racing. And then now let's keep an eye on that iRacing safety car. Should be seeing those lights going out and get the 1 to go signal this time by. And no, so we're going to get at least one more lap under caution, so slightly longer caution period here today, but...
Randy, what we can do is we can talk a little bit about the other events that are going to be going on tonight. Immediately following this is going to be the Cars Esports Tour Invitational, and that, Randy's going to be interesting because we're heading to the Legends Oval. We're cutting off the rest of the track, just going to be using the Legends Oval in the Legends cars. Top 5 from the 2 different series in the Cars Esports Tour. Those guys going to go at it here in a little bit later. But that's going to be a whole lot of fun because the Iowa Legends Oval might be one of the smallest, if not the smallest, tracks on iRacing.
Yeah, that's super tight. So for those who are unaware, as Cisco just said, Cars Esports Tour, they run a few different leagues, but 2 of which you have the late models and the super late models. Top 5 in points from each of those, and if you keep an eye out with the cameras as these cars come past the infield, you can see the Legends Oval down there on the infield, well, not in the infield, but just up by the start-finish straight. Uses the same start-finish straight as the big track, and the lights are going to go out this time, so going to be going back to green next time. But 10 drivers are going to be taking part in that 50-lap event, top 5 in late model points and the top 5 in super late model points. The guys in the late models, they're going to form up on the inside row. The super late guys, they're going to form up on the outside row, and then we're going to set them loose for 50 laps. That's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, it is, but that's then, this is now, and we have to return to the battle that will be at hand here when we take the green flag. Brad Carpenter is going to be starting on the outside of row number 1. To his inside, Seth the Merchant, and behind those guys, Matt Hummel, Josh Lee, and AJ Rogers. They're going to round out your top 5. Then you got Charles Lahr, Ryan Nichols, Abbas Ladak, Bob Lutz, and Tyler Daniels. That's everyone who's left in this LCQ.
So lights are out. Pace car will be pulling down onto pit road in just a moment's time. And then Seth the Merchant from 7th on the grid will control the field here going back to green. Waiting for that green flag to wave, and there it goes. 32 machine jumps the entire field pretty much as they run down the front straightaway. Top 4, top 5 already starting to fight. You see Josh Lee trying to get a big jump and get away from AJ Rogers, but Rogers doesn't get himself a good start at all. He has to cycle back into the 6th spot, as Charles Lahr takes P number 5 as they run into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Josh Lee looked to make it 3 wide there, just didn't have enough speed to carry through the corner. He's going to drop back to 4th and be in the clutches here of 2 cars going side by side. Charles Lahr, and then to his inside, AJ Rogers right on the back bumper of the 9, and the 00 is going to make contact with the 41. He's going to get shuffled up way up the track, and Josh Lee off the hook for the moment. So those guys going to continue to battle. Seth the Merchant, meanwhile, pulling away from absolutely everyone, and the battle is on for 3rd. Josh Lee tries to go to the inside again. Meanwhile, behind him, Ryan Nichols in the 17 to the inside the 00.
Inside line doesn't work, and AJ Rogers is able to get himself clear down that front straightaway. Through 1 and 2 they come. Going to be 10 laps to go at the stripe. Now coming off of corner number 2 down the back straightaway, and AJ Rogers has the overlap on the number 9 of Josh Lee as they go through 3 and 4. The 9 has to go to the bottom, which isn't preferred. A little bit of door banging. The 00 going to get set up into the wall. AJ Rogers, that might be the end of his night right there. That 00, Cisco not going to be happy about that one at all.
No, it isn't, but hey, the 9's got to get himself into this race, Randy, and if that's what he has to do, that's what he has to do. So he's going to defend that position ruthlessly here. The 41 going to jump to the inside of the 17. They almost went 3 wide again here, but Josh Lee has a handful behind him because Ryan Nichols just got to the inside, side by side. Easiest pass of the day could be for the 17.
So the 17 gets to the inside, gets himself that final transfer position, though. The 00 of AJ Rogers still trying to maintain pace, but you can tell that damage has really hurt him. And right now, if you're Josh Lee, you know that those guys around you aren't going to be racing you too nice because they just saw what you just did to that 00 machine. So the number 9 machine, while he tried to defend and potentially had the ability to, he lost any of his friends he had out there, but the 9 goes super aggressive down the inside of 1, inside of Charles Lahr, but not able to make it stick. And now the 9 falls out of a transfer spot, and here comes his old nemesis, the 00 on the outside. AJ Rogers trying to finally get by by that number 9, and they're going to push each other again very tight. They almost touch. That's millimeter margins there through 3 and 4.
Man, and the 00 just sent a message to the 9 right there, and it's, I'm going to make sure you don't make it into this final, I think was what the message was there. Ryan Nichols, meanwhile, battling for 3rd. He's going to pass Matt Hummel there in the 93, and now the 41 diving to the inside. He's going to get a piece of apron. Charles Lahr back end steps around. There it is, caution.
And did he have help in this one? Oh, that's close. I think he may have just barely gotten touched by that 00 machine. I think there was just a little bit of contact. It wasn't just the 00 though. The number 41 hooked the apron. That's what initially got him loose. I think he had to get a little bit out of the throttle, and the 00 just barely tapped the rear end of him. So that's going to put AJ Rogers in 5th. Question is, will we get a restart? And if we do, will he be able to advance himself up anymore? He's got Matt Hummel, who currently sits in front of him in the 4th spot, but he's going to be restarting behind the 17 of Josh Nichols, or excuse me, of Ryan Nichols. I'm getting my names a little bit mixed up here looking at the live timing, but Ryan Nichols here in the 17. If that 17 doesn't get a good jump, all that work that 00 machine just put in after getting that damage and picking those spots back up goes back to nothing.
And I'm not sure they're actually going to have enough time for a restart, Randy, here, because it took them about a lap to pick up the pace car here, so I don't think these guys will have enough time. We'll have to go and we'll have to find out from the officials what the ruling's going to be, but either way, also want to note that the 25 of Tyler Daniels got absolutely destroyed. The spinning car, the spinning number 41, when that caution came out and just clobbered him. So both of those cars going to be night done. The 41, the 25, add that to the 18, who's also out of this race. So only 8 cars left on track. If we do get a green, white, checkered here, only 8 cars are going to be left to battle this out, and that means 4 of those guys are going home, 4 of those guys are staying.
And that's going to be an intense final lap or so, because I agree. I think if we get a restart, it'll be 1, maybe 2 laps. Currently working lap 22 of 25. If we, let's see, next time around, I think we can expect the lights to stay on next time around. I think it'll be the time after that. We have to be really, really watching to see if the lights go out. So let's
they have
see.
to get the 2 to go here then.
Yeah, I believe so. But there'll be no way for us to tell that because we're not actual drivers, so we won't get those race control messages, and that comes from the iRacing system. So really the only people that know whether they're starting again or not are the people in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and Seth the Merchant going to cross the line here, so they would have had to get 2 to go here. We'll keep an eye on the chat to see if they start to congratulate, but either way, what an amazing battle we've seen just for the LCQ, and we talked about it, Randy, how desperate these guys were going to be to get into the show here, and, you know, they had to race for their lives, and that's exactly what we saw in the 00 out of the 9. Those guys were doing everything they could to stand to the bubble, and unfortunately for the 00 and for the 9, they might not even get a chance to race into the show here because they were so busy fighting with each other, the other guys were able to get past them.
And I think if you're AJ Rogers, you're going to be frustrated with Josh Lee about that one, because I still think that that initial contact and bump and run up into the wall, I think that falls on the 9 machine. So if you're the 00 of AJ Rogers, you're going to be really, really frustrated if after all of that you miss out on the LCQ by 1 spot. But let's keep an eye now on this iRacing safety car. If the lights go out now, we'll have, I believe, a 1-lap run to the finish. If they don't, it'll be all over, I believe. Lights haven't gone out yet. I think this race is done and over with.
It's done and over with, and it was dominated by Seth the Merchant. Yes, getting word, yep, this is race done for these guys. So the top 4, the top 2 from each area, they're going to get a pass into the final here, and everybody else going to go home.
Yeah, that has to be frustrating for all these guys here. So let's run down sort of your post-race results a little bit. Right now, the top 4 that have transferred are Seth the Merchant in the 32, Brad Carpenter in the 31, Ryan Nichols in the 9, Matt Hummel in the 93. Those are the top 4 current drivers that are on the outside looking in. Assuming nothing happens, are AJ Rogers, Josh Lee, Abbas Ladak, Bob Lutz, and then Tyler Daniels, who's 3 laps down, Charles Lahr, 4 laps down, and Jonathan Nee, who's 15 laps down. So it's a bit of an anticlimactic way to end this LCQ here, Cisco, but hey, that's racing sometimes. They're going to get the yellow and white here that come across the stripe.
Yeah, they are. So those top 4 are going to move on. We'll find out the provisionals, who else is going to move in later on in the night. We'll let you guys know when we find that out. But for Seth DeMerchant, a dominating performance in the LCQ. And keep in mind, for these guys in the LCQ, they've gotten a chance to go out and run some laps on track in competition here, which is an advantage they're going to have over the guys who are running in that final. Of course, we always say the guys in the LCQ, they come in with just a little bit more track experience than the guys who are only running the final tonight. And Randy, it can go either of two ways. I mean, those guys have a chance, who are in the final, they have a chance to go out on their own and practice a little bit, but for DeMerchant, those other 3, those guys, they've been out on track with competition today. That, it does help.
It really does. It really does. And you know, we're going to see the conditions change, because once we go live for the big feature event, that'll be run under the lights here at Iowa. So the track surface will definitely be cooler, maybe a bit grippier than what they just did right now. But regardless, checkered flags in the air. 32 comes across the stripe, and Seth DeMerchant takes the win in your LCQ, quickly followed by Brad Carpenter, Ryan Nichols, I keep messing up his name for some reason, and Matt Hummel. Those are your top 4 that transfer into the feature event a little later on tonight. AJ Rogers, Josh Lee, Abbas Ladak, Bob Lutz, Tyler Daniels, Charles Nahr, and Jonathan Nee. Thanks for joining us. Try again next time.
Well, actually, for a couple of those guys, Randy, they're going to be able to get in through the provisional. So AJ Rogers, Bob Lutz, Josh Lee, and Charles Nahr, I just got word. Those are the guys who were able to get in on the provisional, so they get to move on. So that means Abbas Ladak and I believe Tyler Daniels and Jonathan Nee are going to be the guys who are going to go home from the LCQ. They do not get to run. They got to pack it up, Randy.
That they do. Seth DeMerchant parked currently down on the alternative pit lane run. I think it's what they use for the Legends Oval there. There's like a straightaway that runs outside, and I saw someone doing a bit of a Polish victory lap somewhere. Not sure who that was, but that 32 machine, likely very happy with that one. Now, we're going to switch sessions up here. We're going to be back in just a few minutes' time. Legends race coming out you shortly. We need to get that session launched up. We'll be back.
I actually raced at Speed Weeks in 2015 for my first time. And before then, I was racing a super late model on iRacing at New Smyrna, which is where Speed Weeks takes place. You know, I made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of laps there, done a bunch of races, and I went down there for the first time in my real car, and I was rolling down pit road, and it felt like I had been there before. My first time on the racetrack, I think I was first or second quick. I was actually racing on an indoor kart track, and a guy by the name of Bobby Waltrip, Michael and Daryl's brother, commentates that race down there. Long story short, he saw me, saw my talent, put me in a late model, and he says, you know, you're only going to get about maybe 20 races throughout the year, and he told me about iRacing and be a good way to try and get seat time outside of the race car. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was cool, and I was hooked from the beginning for sure. I use it as a really, really good tool to visualize racetracks, coming in and out of pit road, being consistent. You know, the thing about iRacing is I just use a laptop on a desk, and at the end of the day, you don't have that butt feel that you do in a real car. You have to see the car get loose before you can feel it, because you can't feel it. And I think that makes me better when I hop in a real car and I can feel it. Coming up through the ranks of iRacing, I wasn't always the best. I lost a bunch of races. I was a top 10 car, and pretty soon I was a top 5 car, and now I'm pretty much winning on a regular basis. So I think it correlates consistently to real life, because you do have guys on there that do it every day, and I think the level of competition is definitely correlates to the ladders you need to take in real life as well. Members come up to me all the time, and they think it's just the coolest thing that iRacing's on the car, because it's something they enjoy and it's something that they can relate to. Obviously, I love having iRacing on my super late model and now my Xfinity car, just because it's been such a big part of my life. and a big part of my career and how I've gotten to this point, and to carry their colors up through my late model ranks and now the Xfinity, and having them on my debut is definitely really special. I'm really excited. I mean, it's what I've been working towards my entire career. You know, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in it, and it's finally paying off. I'm really excited to make the most of it.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. And I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome back to Racespot TV and iRacing Live as we get race number 2 of your special events happening. What we just got done with is a 25-lap CEA East versus West and the Rest Challenge last chance qualifier race. We saw 4 people race their way into the feature event, 150-lap race at the end of the night, and we saw 4 people get in through provisionals, but a little bit of an intermission race we got happening here, Cisco. This is the Cars Esport Tour Invitational 50-lap Legends race happening on the Iowa Legends Oval that's on the front straightaway. I've never seen this track used in competition. This is gonna be funny.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a thrill. What we did here, we got 5 of the guys from the Late Model Stocks Championship from the Cars Esport Tour and 5 of the guys from the Super Late Model Tour. Those guys in here. We are missing 2 here tonight, Kyle Leverall and Kyle Young, both not here taking part in the event. So we're only gonna have 8 Legends cars, but on a track that I don't even think should be raced normally, Randy, because of how short this is.
Yeah,
we'll have to check the numbers, but I'm pretty sure this is the shortest track we have on the service.
I think you're right. This is pushing, let's see, the actual track length is 0.20 miles. So a quarter mile, and here at Iowa Speedway, they just do everything odd, don't they, Cisco? Because the track length overall for the big track is weird at 7/8 of a mile. There's nothing that really slots into that. It's, you know, like a almost bigger version of Richmond, but the way it races is nothing like Richmond. And then you have this little place that's under a quarter mile. Very, very odd. But that said, session's getting advanced. 8-car grid going to be set in just a moment's time, and we'll go down that in just a second. But 8 cars, 50 laps. That sounds like a long race, but these cars are going to get done with those laps quick. You're talking about 10.5 seconds every single time for a lap. So those laps are going to count down really quickly.
Yeah, it is, but we're going to take it through the order here right now and see if we could take a look at who's going to be on the field. Mike Einarelli, John Ollett, Brad Carpenter, Scott Austin, Jody Green, Jeremy Adams, Christian Peterson, and Matt Cucker. That's 8. That's the only 8 we got in. The good thing is, Randy, this is a very short track. We only have 8 cars. I think we could only fit about maybe 15 at max here. I think this is what we have to do for these cars.
Yeah, this is a very, very tiny circuit. And as we said, inside row should be those who top 4 in late model points, well, top 5, but only 4 turned up. And then the inside, the outside should be the top 5 in super late model points. So it's like all 8 cars are on the grid. We should be getting these guys rolling in just a moment's time. Interesting thing here, Cisco, that top 5 in late model points, top 5 in super late model points. I've seen Legends races before. I don't think I've ever really seen one with a competent group of short track drivers. And this is about the shortest, narrowest track I can imagine. These guys are going to be pushed to the limit. As the pace car, I think that's the slowest I've ever seen the pace car run.
They're running right now about 18 miles an hour, and I heard from my local contact here who doesn't live too far from the Iowa Speedway, Paul Fugate, this track is mainly used for go-kart racing, not even Legends racing. So this, oh, get out your popcorn, fans, because this is going to be kind of ridiculous.
It's not often you see Legends be too big for a racetrack, but that said, the green flag is out, and we are on for 50 laps here on the Legends Oval. Mike Arnelli in the pole right now gets a good run through 1 and 2. We get a little bit of contact already for second. That's John Ouellette as well as Brad Carpenter in the 31. You see right now, side-by-side racing, not really advised as how narrow these corners are, but they're already running, and the fight is on for the lead spot as Mike Arnelli and John Ouellette fighting as they run through 3 and 4, already working lap number 3.
Yeah, and the 13 nearly took the 31 and the 23-3 wide. That doesn't work here, guys. I don't know what they're trying to do, but lots of passing already going on as the 69, the 31, Carpenter and Cucker going at it at the moment, and now the 23 of Peterson gonna look to the inside of the 13 of Green, and they'll go side by side, continue to do it, and Peterson gonna come out ahead. Third place position now belongs to the 23.
Well done there by the 23 as the 29 and the 81 continue to fight for your race lead. 5 laps already in the books here through 1 and 2. And Ouellette, he's looking for any opening he can get, but the problem is 29 machine is doing a brilliant job of making that little Legends Ford 34 coupe wide. He's not giving Ouellette any opening whatsoever to make a move. Every single time the top's a little bit open, he shuts it down. And anytime the bottom's a little open, he shuts it down. To Ouellette, he uses the grass to get the car hooked to 3 and 4. Well done. And Ouellette gets to your race lead through 1 and 2. Slight nose ahead, but they're still side by side as they run into 3 and 4. Ouellette now physically owns your race lead.
Yes, he does, and if you are paying attention, Ouellette didn't get the car back from the painters before this race even starts at the 81. Well, we'll just call him the blank white car because that's he hasn't gotten it painted yet. So either way, job done for John Ouellette. He's loving that car.
So John Ouellette through the first 10 laps gets your race lead, and Mike Arnelli, your pole sitter, one-time race leader, a little bit loose off of 4, and he's going to give John Ouellette a pretty big margin here. And now he's going to have Christian Peterson he has to run with, and really that's not what you want to see happening here, Cisco. As aggressive these guys are going to be, you see the 23 Peterson to the inside, move the 29 back to 3rd.
Peterson with a little drift as soon as he got in front of the 29 there. Peterson now going to try and do what he tried to do just last week in the Cars Esport Tour, track down a far ahead leader. Let's see if Peterson can close that gap. He's doing a very good job of it right now, but there's only so much you can actually do with these cars. I mean, you can't really drive too much because you're out of the gas so early and you're into the gas, out of the gas. You don't have a lot of time to finesse it, but Peterson doing an excellent job already.
How is Peterson 0.3 quicker than Ouellette? How was that time even found?
on a 10-second lap time.
Yeah, he's been finding 2 to 3 tenths every lap. Last time around it was only about half of one, but Peterson has got himself into a bit of a rhythm and able to find a pretty considerable amount of time. He pushes really wide off of 4 that time. That's going to hemorrhage a little bit of time. And that's actually really interesting about this layout here, Cisco, because the way the line is, you do sort of want to berm that front straightaway a little bit, but you don't want to get it too wide because then you just run a really big arc that just basically takes you almost doubles the track length, really, and you just burn so much time. But that said, that 23 machine, first handful of laps, he was reeling in John Ouellette, and he still is, about a 1/10 of a second that time through.
And as Josh Lee pointed out in the comment section, I think some of the timing and stuff is broken because of how short of lap times these are. These are only, they're still, I mean, they haven't fallen too far off what they're running in practice. Fastest time, at least from the leader right now. He just ran a 10.5 right now, and Peterson ran a 10.4, so he is catching him. And lap traffic, unsurprisingly, going to be an issue here, and I don't know where the lap traffic is going to go, Randy.
It might be into the wall. It might be into the wall as we're working right now. Lap number 22, quickly approaching halfway already. We've only been doing this for about 4 minutes. So you're going to say right around minute number 5, we're going to be halfway. That's 10 minutes, 50 laps. And if you don't get dizzy after that, well then, congratulations, but you might have a neurological problem as John Ouellette continues to lead the way, but Christian Peterson still stalking behind. But that said, Ouellette's done a good job the last couple laps to start stretching that gap back out. It was 7/10 at the line last time. That's the only bit of live timing I'm getting is as they come across the start finish that can be considered accurate. But last time through, Peterson again another half-tenth taken out of the 81, and that is considerable gains on this little racetrack.
And what's funny is Christian Peterson's used to driving a super late model car, which is about 2 times as big as this car and has roughly about 4 to 5 times as much horsepower.
You'd have to 3-point turn that thing through these turns.
Yes, I don't think the car would fit. And car around already, caution going to be out, and Scott Austin looped it around the 05, and now the Ford Mustang gigantic pace car going to come on track here.
So Scott Austin in the 05 brings out the yellow, and that was just a solo car incident. Just got really aggressive on the gas, I think, and I think he caught that left rear wheel in the grass just as he got on the throttle, and that really upset the car. Maybe a little bit of help from the 89 machine as well, but if so, not very much. I think it was just that initial clip of the grass that really sent him around. Do they have lucky dogs on ovals this small? It'll be interesting to see if Scott gets the lucky dog to get the lead lap back, but he's currently the only one as the field gets themselves stacked back up. And he was indeed waved around the safety cars, so lucky dogs in effect, we're still going to have all 8 cars out there on the racetrack on the lead lap.
Yep. So that means these guys are going to continue to battle out. That was kind of like a halfway break for these guys. We do have the yellow laps here, but Jeremy Adams going to be given the EOL for that incident there, so he's going to go to the back of the pack here. So that means we're going to re-rack everyone out to John Ouellette, Christian Peterson, Matt Tucker, Mike Inarelli, Jody Green, Brad Carpenter, Scott Austin, Jeremy Adams. The order for your field here, and once the lights go out here, the pace car will jump back down, go in reverse, go down that straightaway, and it's going to be up to John Ouellette to relaunch the field here.
I'm still watching this pace car drive around because this is just...
It's
funny.
so big. Usually, like, for these guys, the super late models are a little bit bigger than a production Mustang, and generally we see a lot of the race cars at least length and width-wise bigger than that Mustang, which is a production spec car. The Legends
Lights
cars
are already out. Talk about a quick caution.
Yeah, all right, lights are out. So you know what, Andy? Let's just give it back to John Ouellette, see what he can do.
So John Ouellette and the green flag already back in the air before the pace car is even really off the track. But John Ouellette in command of the field, and he's already fighting side by side with Christian Peterson through 1 and 2 to see side by side action through this 8-car field as well. They finally get themselves somewhat single file through 3 and 4. Peterson a little bit of oversteer on the exit. We got another car around though. That is the 31 of Brad Carpenter. No yellow though, and he turns it around in the grass, and he's already 3/4 of the lap behind. Just that little mistake, and he can already see the people he's just racing with in his mirror already.
Yeah, he was in the infield, so wasn't a threat to the rest of the field, so the yellow did not have to fly. So Christian Peterson now can work on the back bumper of the 81 of John Ouellette. Ouellette has to do everything he can, and lap traffic going to be an issue. There's Peterson, a little bit of a shunt. There it is in 3. Another one there. He's going to move him out of the way. Christian Peterson to the inside.
23 machine getting aggressive with the bumper, trying to get to your race lead, and he's going to get clear for the moment. But will John Ouellette use the bumper to get back at him? Not yet. Not through 3 and 4. He doesn't. Into 1 and 2. And I think he maybe could have given him a little bit of a tap there, but he chose not to. But he gets a good run down on the inside. John Ouellette swings to the inside in 3 and 4, and he doesn't have the lead yet, but surely he will through 1 and 2. He picks it up at the 23 machine, fights back on the outside, runs a really wide entry into 1, and he slots it back down the inside of the 81 machine. Who says you can't run Legends on a track this small?
And Christian Peterson showing there's multiple different lines that you can take to a corner here. Because there's not a lot of speed, Randy, it really comes down to corner entry and exit. You take one line, it'll be a good entry, bad exit. Christian Peterson just drifted that car out of turn 2. If you could call it that, it's like maybe turn 1 and turn 2, basically.
Doing his best Ian Plash impression and sending it as he runs in that race lead. And thing to keep in mind, Cisco, that first run we saw a 2-car breakaway. Now we get basically 6 cars all under a blanket. It's just Peterson, Ouellette, Coker, Green, Larinelli, and Adams all in a row right now, coming up inside of 6 laps to go.
And Ouellette trying to do everything he can to jump back underneath the 23. I don't think you're going to be able to do anything other than that. I have to think maybe a late move from the 81, maybe trying to move the 23 out of the groove might be the best option, and the 69 to Matt Cooker will be there to pick up the pieces in case these two really make a big hash of it.
So, lap number 47 of 50 as they run through 1 and 2, and Christian Peterson gets a little bit of a gap through to John Ouellette behind, coming to 3 laps to go as the second place runner of Ouellette gets a bit of a bump from Matt Coker behind. Coker slots up the inside in 1 and 2. He wants that second spot. So one-time race leader John Ouellette gets cycled back to 3rd in the 69 machine. Slots himself into P number 2. 2 laps to go at the line. Through 1 and 2 they come, and Ouellette trying to fire back on the inside, but he doesn't have the traction. White flag going to be in the air for Christian Peterson though. Now into 1 and 2. He is clear, and John Ouellette wants to get that second spot back. Is he going to be able to do it? Too far back to make a move. Into 3, it'll have to be a big run off 4. But Peterson's going to take the win. Coacher second, John Ouellette 3rd, and then it's Jody Green, Mike Iarnelli, and Jeremy Adams. Laps tick off quick here, Cisco. I wasn't expecting a last 3-lap call, but hey.
But like we said, 10-second lap times, that's what happens. But you know what we're going to get a chance to do is, because this was such a short race, we'll see if we can actually get a word in with the race winner here once he joins us. But that, I've never seen anything quite like that, Randy, and
I've never seen
might have to make this
after a Legends race.
Yeah, we might have to make this track car combination come back maybe a little bit sooner than we thought on iRacing Live. But
well, after seeing this, we know we can't squeeze 60 cars on this, so maybe not. But
you don't know that. You don't know that.
I know who would be in that race. I do know that. That is a fact. But let's go down your post-race results from your Cars Esport Tour Invitational 50-lap Legends race here at the Iowa Legends Speedway. Christian Peterson from 7th on the grid. Who said you can't race at Iowa? From 7th at the grid up to your race win. Matt Coker from 8th on the grid to 2nd. 1st and 2nd, your last 2 starters. John Ouellette starts 2nd, finishes 3rd. Jody Green 4th, and Mike Iarnelli rounds out your top 5, quickly followed by Jeremy Adams, Scott Austin, and Brad Carpenter, who finished 1 lap down. Of course, he's the one who had that spin, and unfortunately for him, no caution came out for him. But Christian Peterson, talk about a quick run time for a 50-lap race. That's 9 minutes 44 seconds. That's getting it done quick.
Yeah, it is, and I'm going to jump in and see if we can talk to Christian Peterson. Christian, it's Randy and Cisco up in the booth, and well, we've seen a lot of stuff here on iRacing Live, and you came from the back of the field to win at the Legends Oval at Iowa. That was insane, dude.
Thanks, man. I gotta admit, that was probably one of the most fun races I've done on the service. I actually don't think I've ever done a race on this oval. This one in particular. I know I've done one on the one on the infield of the track, but I don't know. That track was so much fun, and the cars, the setup was good, and everybody was driving really good, and I don't know, the show and the battle I had there with John at the end, that was so much fun, man. Like, I got right on his bumper going down the backstretch the first time, and I just was like, all right, once he hits the brakes, I'm not, and then, you know, hit him a little bit, get him out of the way, and it worked. And then I think I overshot the next corner, or the corner after that or something, and he got right back by me, and that was just so much fun. And then I think he and Cugger got a little, they started racing behind me, and it enabled me to pull away. But I hope to do something like this again, because that was so much fun.
Well, I think Randy and I were talking about seeing if we could fit 60 cars on there. I'm not sure that's going to be possible, Christian, but you talked about, you know, you had to come in here. Your teammates at the Merchant Array ran the LCQ tonight. I don't think this does much to prepare you for the main tonight of 150 laps on the big oval, but are you able to take anything away from here to that race that's coming up here in just a little bit?
I mean, seat time. Can't get anything better than that. So
yeah, you ran the front straightaway, so that is proper practice.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I'll try to remember what I did there. Hopefully I can just keep it flat out and did what I did there. But I mean, like I said, just seat time, you know, getting laps in, no matter where it is, really. It's good to get, you know, just do laps before a race. So it'll definitely help. These things are probably, I don't know if they're the hardest cars to drive, but in real life, they are a handful. So that was a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us, Christian. Congrats on the win in this 50-lap invitational. Good luck in the 155-lap show in just a few moments' time. Hope to see you run strong.
All right, thanks, guys. Hope to talk to you again later.
We hope to talk to you as well, as that's going to be a little bit of a break for us as we get the sessions transferred over, but we'll be back here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live and bring you the big feature event of the night, and that's the CEA East versus West in the Rest Challenge. 155 laps, 2-lap segments, 2 75-lap segments, excuse me, here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live. Don't go away.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Beginner Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR eSports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing, it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda SimSport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iracing.com/live.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Welcome back to Racespot TV and iRacing Live, as it's time for the big event of the evening. Randy Cheneth, Cisco Scaramuzza, Hugo Louise calling all the action, and this is the CEA East versus West and the Rest Challenge 155 lap event at the Iowa Motor Speedway in the K&N car. Cisco, bit of an interesting format for this one. We've seen 2 interesting races in the qualifying race and that 50 lap legend event, but this is the one that has all the marbles on the line. This is what we all came here for.
Yep, this is the big event here, and well, we'll talk you through how this is gonna work because, well, there's a couple things to keep in mind for these guys. This is a 150 lap feature race with 5 laps added for the halfway break, so the total is gonna be 155. We'll run this race in 2 75 lap segments, and on lap 75, they're gonna throw a caution. It's gonna be a halfway break, and everyone is gonna have to come down, take 4 tires, and then anyone a lap down or more cannot take the wave around during the halfway break. And then the regional standings will be figured out by the officials. We'll find out that, and then we'll announce the region that has won the event. It's either going to be East or West and the Rest, and for everyone else, you know, it's going to be that one region who's going to get it out. And then the race winner, hey, you get 20 bucks in iRacing credits, and then the highest finishing subscriber to CEA will get 20 bucks as well, and second highest CEA subscriber will receive 10 bucks.
So yeah, definitely a very, very unique event. Almost somewhat World Tour-like, but I'd say a lot more interesting than the World Tour, to be honest. This has been a fun night of racing, but Cisco pretty much summed it up. 75 laps, competition caution, everyone comes down and get tires, and then 75 more laps. We talked about this a little earlier on, Cisco, but it's important, I think, to re-emphasize. In those 75 lap segments, drivers cannot come down and take tires. and that's going to be a big one for these guys. Bit of a shakeup for people who may not be used to doing long runs.
Yeah, and we're actually going to see if we can catch a word in with one of the drivers, Paul Fugate, driver of the number 44, the hometown hero, as it were. But Paul, you're loading into this race here. You have been around the Iowa Speedway since its inception. This is your home track, and you've seen more races here than pretty much anyone else I know. So Paul, you qualified in yesterday, you're running today. What's the game plan for the 44?
Save tires is the big thing, and just take care of your stuff. This, like I said, 75 laps each, said for a split, so it's just saving tires, get to that second 75 lap race, and hopefully we're in the top 10 and we can get a good finish out of this thing.
That's an easy game plan, just like that, Randy. So Paul, we're going to let you go here. Make sure you get a word in for the drivers meeting, but either way, good luck to you, and we'll see if we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks, Disco.
So Randy, it's been a little while, so we can talk through this Iowa Speedway just one more time, just to let everyone know who wasn't here the first time, just how this speedway breaks down.
Iowa Speedway, 7/8 mile oval. In decimals, that's 0.88. Like we said, Iowa, a very unique racetrack. You know, it's just under a mile in length, and multi-groove, as you said earlier, it is a bit of progressive banking, so the higher up the racetrack you get, the steeper the banking will go. But the most interesting thing, the main reason that you see side-by-side racing at this racetrack, I feel, is the fact that that inside groove is just so bumpy. I mean, we saw it in that qualifying race earlier on. We saw drivers running down near the bottom, but not quite against the yellow line through 1 and 2. But through 3 and 4, the fast guys were up against the wall. So multi-groove racing is sort of the name of the game here.
Yeah, it is, and the drivers in the middle of their drivers meeting, and once they get done with that, we'll take you to the grid. But apart from that, let's talk about who do you like in this race, Randy? Because we saw some of the guys out there in the LCQ, guys like Seth the Merchant, who's in this race, his teammate Christian Peterson, we saw in the Legends race, but who do you like here?
I don't know. I'll be honest. This is going to be one that's up in the air. I think the overall way this event's gonna pan out with the 75 lap runs, I think we're gonna see people that are gonna be fast in the opening 15 to 20 laps, and then I think we're gonna see some people who maybe aren't used to running long races on or doing long runs on the tires. I think we're gonna see them fall back. So even though the times are quick, you might look at someone like James Curl, Matt Coker, currently top 2, or anyone in those top 10 in times right now. You might say, you know what, they're my favorite. It's not going to be how you do on the car through the first 15 laps. It's going to be how can you do with those tires over 75 laps. So I'm not necessarily, it's really hard to pick one out of the 36 car field, as right now drivers meeting underway, and I think we're waiting on a couple people as well to potentially turn up, but it's going to be a hard one to pick.
Well, we are missing 2 cars, but unfortunately for those guys, they've missed the jump-in date here. They're getting locked out from the speedway if they haven't logged in at this point, Randy. So 34 cars looks like to be how many we're going to have on the race, and well, we're only 2 shy of what the normal group was going to be, so we aren't missing too much. But either way, for those guys, just missing out in the final, and unfortunate for them, they're not going to get a chance to compete to race for their region in this race.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for all of those guys if you miss this one, but it's going to be entertaining to say the least. So, like we said, 34 drivers, 155 laps technically in competition. There will be 150. Of course, the yellow flags are enabled. Actually, those 75 lap segments, Cisco, will they have to come down for fuel, or can this car do 75 laps?
No, they should be able to do 75 laps here, and if they do have to pit for fuel, that's all they'll be able to pit for, Randy. They're not allowed to take tires, as you said. It's a rule that CEA, they like to do the 2 jack rule, where you can only jack up the car one time on the right side, 1 time on the left side, or you only get 2 jacks, as it were. But tonight, no tires until you get to that halfway point. And well, at this point, we are waffling a little bit because we're waiting for these guys to finish up in the drivers meeting here. So once they do that, we'll be ready to go. But this event, part of the kickoff for what will be soon premiering here on iRacing.com's YouTube channel, as well as iRacing Live, the iRacing Live Dash Series coming soon, and that'll be on Tuesday nights opposite of Peak, and it's going to be featuring the cars we're seeing right here on track tonight, Randy. These iRacing K&N Pro Series cars. This car, kind of a fan favorite on the sim. This is a car that a lot of guys like to use because it simulates the older style, the Twisted Sister type chassis of the NASCAR, the former NASCAR Winston Cup series that was used between the 90s and the early 2000s before the COT, the Gen 5 came into effect. This car, a fan favorite for a lot of guys out there because of the body style and because it's just a fun car to drive.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, they love this older style car, and like you said, this Twisted Sister chassis, these guys like to get in this car, and well, they just want to rock, don't they?
Yeah, they do, but I guess
Please
it's
tell
that
me
time,
you got
Randy.
that reference.
Yes, okay, now
Okay,
I
Cisco
just did. I
Cisco
just did.
Just clued in to the hair metal reference, and so we're going to be getting you the action starting here in just a few moments time. Once things tick over, we'll go down your starting grid because this ticks over from the qualifying yesterday, and because they're having to bring people in from the transfer spots earlier today. Take us a minute to get all the times set, but the cars are getting set on the grid. We are ready to go, and down your 34 car field for your CEA East versus West and the Rest challenge here at Iowa Motor Speedway. Matt Coker takes the pole in the number 69. Justin Lazombie, he's going to start on the outside of that front row in the 03. Jody Green and Tommy Ryan, they're going to roll off in row number 2. Randy Yoakum and Zach Mecca, row 3. Wade Tashida and Mark Herzog, row number 4, with Brandon Smith and John Leday rounding out your top 10. Ronnie Osmer and Christian Peterson, they're going to roll off row number 6. James Curl and Jeremy Adams, row number 7. Paul Fugate, who we spoke with just a few moments ago, and Kenneth Askew, they're going to roll off row number 8. Row 9, Bryce Sinizak and Gary Weaver. Row 10, Scott Naslin and Brian Hacker, top 20 in there. Kyle LaVault and Mike Arnelli, row number 11, with John Alute and Tyler Simmons, row number 12. Mike Powell and Scott Austin, row 13. And now, those are your 26 qualifiers. Now, getting down into the people who transferred tonight, Seth DeMerchant and Brad Carpenter, they're going to roll off row number 14. Ryan Nichols and Matt Hummel, row 15. AJ Rogers and Josh Lee, row 16. And Bob Lutz and Charles Lahr, they will start on the final row of number 17. 34 cars, 275 lap segments. Cisco, we saw in the daylight, saw multi-groove action. What are you expecting under the lights?
Well, the track's gotten a little bit cooler since we were out there in the daytime. The lights are on here. We're nighttime racing here at Iowa, and that means that track a little bit cooler, a little more grippy for these guys. And of course, I think that's just going to bring that 3-groove action in just a little bit more for these guys for lake-breaking stories. Something interesting to note, the 12 here. This is a guy who basically made his way into the show during the broadcast, during the qualifications. He wasn't accepted to the lead, got accepted to the lead during qualifications, joined the session, and put down the 10th fastest lap time. So the 12, he's basically just jumped into this in the last day or so. So that's a little bit of an interesting story. Of course, we note the 23-32 teammates. Also, a lot of guys from Vincier Racing up towards the front. Very dominant in the Cars Esport Tour and very dominant throughout CEA. Those will be the guys to watch. The 69, one of them is going to lead the field to the green.
Lights out on the pace car. 150 laps are on the board, and Matt Coker is in charge of the field. Green flag wave, the 69 machine gets on the go pedal. 34 cars storming down into corner number 1, and the feature event, what we've all been waiting for tonight, is on. That 69 gets a good jump over the rest of the field as they're side by side, 17 rows deep into 1 and 2 for the first time.
Yeah, and they're going to sort it out so far, but Jody Green going to go up and block the 99, and Tommy Ryan, the Northern Tool and Equipment Chevrolet, up on the top side, and they're almost going to go 3 wide. The 24 going to split the difference. Zach Mecca going for everything he can. They'll sort it out, get back to single file. Meanwhile, Ryan continues to battle up on the top side with the Turn 2 Designs driver of Jody Green down on the bottom side. They'll make it through 2 this time, and the 99 is going to have a great run on that outside.
Well done by Tommy Ryan to get himself up into the 3rd spot, but you see the multi-groove action as they're 3 wide through 3 and 4 at the moment. Jody Green on the bottom, the 24, Mecca in the middle, and Tommy Ryan up top. They get it double file by the exit of turn 4, but Tommy Ryan still has that 3rd position. And we're already seeing that multi-groove action of this racetrack happening here, Cisco. You're seeing these guys through the middle of the 3 and 4, people working the bottom, people working the middle, people working the top, and there's people making it work on each end of this racetrack.
Wade Sheeta now on the bottom side, below Zach Mecca in that 24. Sheeta in the Fire Safety USA car, going to try and see what he can do. He's going to lose a little bit of time to Mecca, who's still up on that top side trying to make it work. Sheeta just doesn't look like he can get the bite through the corner, but does an excellent job through 2, and he's going to have a good run and into turn 3, but the 24 is going to have that better line out of the corner coming out of 4 here, but they're still side by side. Multi-groove racing here at Iowa.
Sheeta does a good job, and he gets clear. He picks up the 5th spot. 23 machine now looking to the inside of Mecca. That's Christian Peterson. Down to the inside. Peterson goes, and they're going to be 3 wide for a moment. 22 car gets sent around. That's a big incident. He's going to come back onto the racing line. He's going to get back down, and one driver, that's the lead, the 68, I think just missed that big incident. Not sure who that was. No, that may have been the 98. Excuse me. That was a big incident there coming off of corner number 2. Replay up on your screens now.
And that was just a little bit of contact, and Sheeta went way up the track. Mecca tried to split the difference, go 3 wide. He wasn't clear and tagged the 22. And Zach Mecca going to get the EOL penalty for that caution. Going to go to the back of the line for causing that one. Wade Sheeta, meanwhile, has to repair that car because he's got a fair amount of damage on that Fire Safety USA Chevrolet. So he's going to have to get that sorted out before they go back green, or maybe he'll just ride it out with it. But something just to note, 2 guys who were battling out in the LCQ, Josh Lee and also the 00, those 2 were going at it, and I see a little bit of damage on the right side of the 9. Those 2 started next to each other on the green flag. Randy, gee, I wonder where he got that damage from.
Well, hopefully it wasn't too serious. We see the 44 coming down onto pit lane. And that's interesting to me, Cisco. Paul Fugate, as he said, one of the LSR guys coming down. Did he get a piece of that incident? A car, I think,
yeah, he does a little bit of
crabbing.
nose.
So, is that car, or is that just how the body looks? It looks like it's crabbing to me. A 44 car doesn't look healthy, so hopefully, I'm going to take a look back at the replay and see whether or not he got a piece of that, because if he did, that is unfortunate for that 44.
It does have a little bit of nose damage. You could tell it's a little bit crinkled, a little off color of what that car is used to looking like. So Fugate going to get the repair done quickly, as is Josh Lee, who came down, I think, to repair a little bit of that right front that's on the 9. These guys, remember, not allowed to take tires while they're down there. I don't believe fuel's going to be an issue, so those guys deciding, everyone else, no reason to come down pit road this early, Randy, unless you want to go all the way to the back of the field, but why would you want to do that?
Exactly, but at the same point, still early stages, lap number 7 of overall what is 143. If you have damage you want repaired, there's really no point in not doing it now. Just make sure you stay on the lead lap and don't get too dicey getting through this field. Because the way you have to treat this event is different than pretty much any other race on the iRacing service, I would wager. You want to get yourself in a good competitive position by lap 75, but there's no point in trying to break away through that first half.
No, there isn't, because you know that competition caution's coming at 25. You want to race that. It's almost similar to how a stage would work. It's very similar, except, well, we don't have to worry about championship points, Randy. So I would see these guys, they don't have to worry about strategy, so they're going to race to lap 75. They're going to race again to lap 150. So if I'm Tommy Ryan, if I'm some of these guys in 2nd and 3rd and 4th, I want to be as in front of these guys, because I don't want to have to risk, you know, coming down pit road. You're not really going to be able to pick up that much time because everyone's going to be coming down. You need to be flawless down there. You're probably more likely to lose time, so I don't want to bank on that. I want to gain as much time on track as I can so I can be more up front, and I don't have to worry about trying to get through like 20 cars to get to my pit box.
Interesting to note is that even after that big incident, we have all cars scored on the lead lap. Wade Sheeta, he's currently scored a lap down, but he hasn't come across yet, but he's out there and he will pick up the back end of the field. Actually, no, he did go a lap down, so I take that back. But that said, lights out on the pace car. They're forming back up. Cisco getting the restart here on lap number 10. You think the top 2, Cooker and Lazonby, going to break away early again?
Matt Cooker, one of the most dominant drivers in cars esports. I think he can do it. Justin Lisenby, part of the Sim Racing Clan TV group that Kyle Young is. I think both of them have the capability to do that. But those 2, Tommy Ryan, Jody Green, Christian Peterson, will round out the top 5 as we come to the green flag.
So, second time tonight, 34-car field works their way through 3 and 4 under yellow. Matt Coker, though, he's put in command. We wait for the green flag to come out. There it is, 69 machine back on the loud pedal. Coming to lap number 10, 34 cars back to racing here at Iowa Motor Speedways. Into 1 and 2 they come, and Tommy Ryan already trying to get himself that second spot. But Lauzonby, look at the run he can get on the top side. He's well clear of the 99 as they come down the back straightaway.
Lizzard did an excellent job on that restart there. Tommy Ryan, meanwhile, has a bunch of hungry Chevrolet Impalas right behind him. The first going to be Christian Peterson, the 23, but he's not going to get a good run. Ryan going to be able to hold him off, and the 23 of Peterson now is under fire from the 13 of Jody Green. They're side by side, and then side by side behind him, the 55 and the 4.
Field starting to get themselves somewhat figured out as they get back to green flag racing here. You still see the number 55 fighting with the 4 and the 67. He's going to get clear as the 4 and the 67 behind. That's Herzog and Yoakum fighting side by side down your front straightaway here at Iowa. And Herzog gets a run on Ronnie Osborne. They're going to be side by side into 1 and 2. 67 working the bumps down on that inside. You see Osborne working the top of the racetrack. Gets a good run up top of the 67. Super sticky down along that bottom. That's Mark Herzog. They're still going to be side by side off of 3 and 4. And Mark Herzog, again, gets a good run. He's going to nose ahead of that 55 machine as they come across the stripe. Move him into the 7th spot for now. Give me 6th spot for now. But the 55 isn't done fighting for it yet.
Yeah, Osmer has a little bit of a donut on the left side of that door at the moment, so Osmer, maybe his car isn't 100%, but he's putting up one heck of a fight on that top side. But the problem is, he's going to lose out on that battle, and he was so much on the defense there, he wasn't ready for Randy Yoakum to come through the field. So the driver, formerly of the United Sim Racing Truck Series, is trying to come through here, and meanwhile, battle for the lead.
Fight for the lead is already heating up. Actually, no, that's a lap car. Just throwing me false alarms here, Cisco's. Caution flies out here on the Speedway.
Big problems.
Second time tonight. Looks like a big pile up through turn 2. Cisco, what happened?
That was the 50 of James Curl, got loose all on his own. A bunch of cars went to avoid, and sadly one car did not make it through. It's the 38 of Bob Lutz, was piled straight into the 50 there. And unfortunately for those guys, that's 2 cars, and those 2 are effectively out of this thing.
So that's Bob Lutz, who just got DQ'd, not sure for what. I don't think he was... Oh, I see what happened. They just removed the 38 machine because, really, for lack of a better term, the 38 machine just plowed it into 1 and 2 despite the caution. And what really would have been a minor incident for the 50 because he's got spun around and he didn't actually hit anything to James Curl. But the 38 machine just didn't slow down for the yellow, just drove it into 1 and 2 as if we were under green flag conditions, just ran right into the back to the 50 machine. I think that's a proper black flag to throw. Bob Lutz getting tossed from the server as James Curl. That big impact's going to pretty much end his night.
Yeah, because Curl could have been able to come through the field and maybe contend higher up in the spots after he'd gotten maybe the tires replaced at the halfway break, but because of the 38 just barreling in there, well, he doesn't have a car left, so Bob Lutz, you're out of here, as it were, and good night for the 38 out early, and he's going to have to head to the CEA hauler after the race.
Scott Austin as well is going to be getting an EOL penalty, one of the rules that is in this server. They will quickly deem who they think is at fault for an incident, and if you're the one who caused it but didn't go around, they will put you at the end of the line. So really, that's a big thing to really emphasize clean running in this. It's sort of a bit of a USAC rule where if you bring the caution out, you go to the back. And I love to see that rule run in League, Cisco, because that just, I mean, it just emphasizes clean racing, and it really puts a stop to people being overly aggressive and maybe moving people out of the way. Because a lot of people will sometimes get in the mindset of they don't really mind if they get into someone, even if they go around. Simply because if you send someone around and you carry on your jolly way, that doesn't harm you at all. Getting sent to the end of the line, though, that hurts.
And just down from the tower, the official ruling is ARCA brake rule got Bob removed. So Bob Lutz gone for... Well, the stewards themselves said it, so I guess we could say it, the ARCA brake rule.
Yeah, so that's the official wording in the rule book. It's not good when your series has a term that gets written into rule books, is it? It's not really that great. You can say the USAC rule is a bit of an exception from that, because that's a good rule, and people will oftentimes put that in the rule book, but I'm sure ARCA likely not happy about that. But second caution of the evening, 17 laps currently run in this one. We're about third distance.
And what's going to be interesting here, Randy?
Segment, and racing's been pretty dang good so far, Cisco.
Yeah, and what's going to be interesting here, Randy, is this EOL rule in effect is these guys have to make sure, yeah, you can run aggressively, but you don't want to push that envelope, because if you do end up spinning a guy on axle or something like that, that's going to get you sent to the back of the field. And that's kind of a rule, as you mentioned. It's kind of come up several times in iRacing private league racing, just as something that's really worked out for these leagues. I mean, from where I understand, it all started out with RSR a couple years ago starting to use that. Then it got moved into USR. CEA decided to take the rule from USR, and Super Speedway Cup has also enabled that. So basically all the LSR leagues abide by that rule at this point, and it just kind of spread from one league that tried it and said, hey, it works.
Yeah, that it does. Light still on the pace car. These cautions, they feel a little bit longer than they normally do because not a lot of people, well, because people don't come down pit road. It actually is funny just how just the pit stop sequence, at least for us as commentators, Cisco, really helps shorten up the caution periods, because with these guys aren't coming down on pit lane, these cautions just feel super long even though they're the same duration.
Yeah, and for... You know, this is the point where we have to start finding points, but we're only 18 laps into this race, so there's not too much to talk about. One thing to note, though, I'm looking just through the field. Some of the guys who have been big movers right now. How about Seth the Merchant? Came from, started 27th. He's 12th right now, and not too far behind him. Ryan Hacker also having a decent night. Started 20th. He's 13th. And for those guys, an excellent job, as well as Bryce Senesac started 17th. He's 11th right now, so some big movers early on. Also, Christian Peterson started 12th. He's 4th.
Yeah, and really that's great to see, especially someone like Seth the Merchant, because I think you're right. That 32 machine is going to be bad fast once we get back deeper into this race. He has a little bit more time to claw his way through this field. That said, Lights out on the pace car. 30, I believe, 3-car field. No, it's down to about 31-car field. Getting themselves back underway here, formed up, and we'll be going back to green flag racing in a just a couple of moments time. But iRacing Mustang safety car has to come down on a pit lane first. There it comes, and Matt Coker, who has run out front all night, he gets the green flag, back on the go pedal, he goes, green flag back in the air, and Matt Coker gets a big jump over the rest of the field. The fight for a second is on again. Tommy Ryan, this is basically a replay from the last restart, throws it up the inside, but Justin Lasanby, he has the optimal line through 1 and 2. They're going to be 3 wide behind. This is fighting for 5th place on the racetrack. Herzog on the top, 13 in the middle of Jody Green, and Osberg down on the bottom. That said, though, Green was able to get to the bottom of the racetrack. They end up 2 wide as they come off of 4.
Yeah, side by side, those guys. Now Jody Green going to fall back into the clutches of the 4 and the 55 also in the running here. So Jody Green, Randy Yoakum, and Ronnie Osmer all together here in this battle. Meanwhile, everyone's basically single file in front of these guys. So that's their first battle. Osmer on the outside, trying to get that outside line working for him. It's worked so far. Meanwhile, Jody Green on the inside, trying to make the inside work. It doesn't. He's going to go back. And the next thing he has to worry about is John Leday in the number 3, and he's now right on the back bumper of the turn 2 design Chevy.
Talking about one of your big movers in this race, Christian Peterson, he's up to 3rd, and he threw that car to the inside of Justin Lasanby last time through, fighting for 2nd, didn't quite pan out, and because of that, that 03 machine has a pretty big margin at the moment, but moved that number 23 machine up 9 spots from where it started. They currently circulate on the racetrack. And right now, Cisco, I think for these front runners, if you're Matt Coker, Lasanby, Peterson, Ryan, Herzog, you don't really want to be pushing yourself too hard through this first segment. We're not even halfway through this first 75-lap run. We actually have a slow car going into 1. That's James Burrell in the 50. I think there may have been an incident that we may have missed. Yes, there was. He got loose through 4, coming off of 4 on his lap number 19. Went down through the infield grass. Didn't take anyone with him. We stay green. But that number 50 machine, after that big incident on that last green flag run, his night goes from bad to worse.
Yeah, and James Earl, like you said, is not having a good night, but the battle for the lead is on. Justin Lisenby and Matt Tucker going at it. They're side by side out of 4. The 03 on the bottom, trying to make it work, but he's going to fall back in behind Tucker here. So the 69 continues to lead out front and doing an excellent job in that Kamikaze Webworks Chevrolet. And then behind him, everyone single file back to the continuing battle of Randy Yoakum and Ronnie Osmer. Now they'll get single file, so we have to go all the way back to the 2 of Michael Powell and Bryce Senesac. Those 2, your first 2 side by side.
Bryce Senesac fighting on the top side. Michael Powell down low in the 2 machine, and Powell's going to have to nose it across the line. He's going to retain that 12th spot, but through 1 and 2, Senesac has that top sign, which has been favored, but they're 3 wide behind. This is Gary Weaver, who's slow up along the top, along with Kyle Lavarlt and John Ouellette. This is the 81, the 7, and the 07 was involved with that, but 07 lost a lot of spots, 2 or 3, and because of that 3 wide moment, they get it back sorted. Kyle Lavarlt, I think he just picked up a couple spots in that couple laps segment.
Yeah, Lev doing what Lev does best, kind of peeking towards the midway of this race. We'll have to see how much more the 7 can pick up. He started in 21st right now, running 15th at the moment, so another driver on his way to the front of the field. Kyle Everall doing an excellent job at the moment. Meanwhile, it's ferocious right behind him is Scott Naslund. Paul Fugate and Charles Lahr also going at it, and it's just battles all over the place towards the back airfield, but looking up front, everyone single file for the most part.
Not a big surprise. Your leader's really keeping it calm and cool. But the 32 machine, though, of Seth the Merchant continues to march his way through the field. Currently fight for the 7 spot with the 55 of Ronnie Osmer. He gets that job done. Moved the Merchant up to P number 7 from 27th on the grid, up 20 spots, and now he sets his sights on Randy Yoakum, and he's been about 3/10 quicker every time around this racetrack from Yoakum. He's going to make short work of that 4 machine as they go down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. Doesn't get the job, well, he doesn't attempt the move yet, but look at his way he gets that car turned in through the middle of the corner. 32 machine gets past Randy Yoakum, now sets his sights on the top 5. That's Mark Herzog in the 67.
Seth the Merchant, a bona fide Class A driver. He ran in the iRacing Pro Series, the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series last season for a couple rounds. Lead battle, though, going on.
Still fighting out here on the racetrack. Matt Coker, Justin Lasanby, Tommy Ryan, top 3, fighting really, really hard. Tommy Ryan on the inside of the 03 of Lasanby through 1 and 2. He hasn't been able to make this stick, and they touch. 2nd and 3rd place. 99 goes around. The 03 machine of Lasanby is able to hold on to it, and the 99 did a fantastic job to hold on to that thing. Maybe a little bit of damage from the initial contact, but overall, the 99, he gets it back underneath and doesn't lose a bunch of spots. We're back under yellow for the 3rd time tonight.
And Tommy Ryan, they were both going for the same spot on the racetrack, and there might be a little bit of scratch paint on the 99, and that's about it. That's how gentle that contact was. So fortunately for the 99, I think he may get the EOL penalty for this, but either way, Tommy Ryan, not a huge amount of contact for either car. And how about the 03 just dirt tracking it out a loose car and manages to still hang on to 2nd place. Justin Lisenby, throttle control at its finest right there, Randy.
Yeah, well done for all those guys to be able to hold on to that. The 99 to keep from hitting anything, and the 03 to keep that thing underneath them. It's not going to be nice on the tires, but only about, well, we're about halfway through this first segment. We're getting 75 laps through the first segment, so we should be seeing that yellow fly in about 43 laps. So those tires, they're not going to be great on that 03 machine, but at least he's going to get a new set to run to the checkers.
Yeah, he is, and now we're going to have to see once, yep, Tommy Ryan is going to get the UL penalty, so the 99 going to head to the back of the line here. So now this is going to open up the door for, I have to think, Seth the Merchant, because he's been kind of fighting his way through the field on his own, and now he's going to have the opportunity to go for the lead, and it's right in front of him. He doesn't have to go far to catch him, Randy.
Yeah, he's going to be rolling off in the 3rd row on the inside. He's going to have Mark Herzog, Christian Peterson, Justin Lasanby, and Matt Coker in front of him. You see Wade Tashida getting out there and taking the wave around. He's the only car currently scored running laps who's a lap down. This is going to put him back on the lead lap. Still a lot of damage on that 22 machine. Going to be a rough night for him here, but at least he's going to be able to fight back from the lead lap here in the number 22.
Yeah, he will. So the 22 gonna have the opportunity, like you said, to battle through, but a lot of damage still on that car. I'm not sure how it's gonna affect it speed-wise, but I can't think it's gonna be helping it a whole lot. But Wade Cheetah, very aggressive driver. He knows how to make it work with the damaged car. I've seen him do it before in this league, and I wouldn't be surprised if Cheetah's able to do the same thing again. But I'm gonna start, we'll have to see. Lights still on the pace car, I believe, so we'll continue to pace around a little bit, but for the most part, everyone just doing a great job. And another big mover, we talked about him earlier, Kyle Leverall from 21st up to 14th. Brian Hacker from 20th, he's now 13th. And Senesac from 17th to 12th. Michael Powell, who we barely talked about tonight, 25th to 11th. So another guy on the move is that 2 car.
Well, that 2 machine should be pretty quick. He has a lake named after him. You've never heard of Lake Powell? You don't get any of my references.
No, I don't, because I'm not from the West Coast, Randy.
This is fair. This
is East versus West right here in the commentator's booth as well.
Twisted Sister isn't from the West, I don't think. They're international. But regardless, lights stay on the pace car, so we're going to get at least 2 more laps under the yellow flag here. These guys are going back to green flag racing. I have to agree with you, though. The fact that Seth the Merchant at 32, he's going to be moved up into the top 5 on this restart. I think, you know, the fight for the race lead has been relatively calm all race long. I think when that 32 gets the opportunity, I think he's going to make it really, really hard on that 69 and that 03 for running up front.
I think kind of a dark horse in this is Mark Herzog, just from the fact he's been around all day. He started 8th, he's up to 4th. Has had a decently fast car, but not outlandishly quick, unlike what we've seen out of Seth the Merchant. So if the 32 gets busy fighting with the leaders or something like that, slows himself down or uses up those tires, I think the 67 is going to be a dark horse car, and he's going to be able to slide up into this battle for the lead and have a car that can contend for the win.
Potentially, as going to keep an eye on that iRacing Mustang safety car. Should be seeing these guys form up. Lights are going to go out. So 1 more lap under caution here, and then back to green flag racing. Currently running lap number 36 of this first 75 lap segment. So a little over halfway here. This is going to be interesting to see. What do you expect on this restart? Because Peterson, he's been aggressive trying to get to the front. He's finally there. The Merchant, same story. Been running through the field this entire race. Just now in the top 5. I think that 32 and the 23, I think the numbers are inverted, but they're going to try to get themselves together at the front.
Oh yeah, the 6-man motorsports guys known for using a little bit of team orders in the past. They did it in Super Speedway Cup Series to the point where both of them had to leave the series. So those guys know how to work together as a team, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it here. Just of note, the 50 of James Curl also going to get sent from the track, so his night is done whether he likes it or not. But the leader of the 69 at Cucker, he's going to take the green flag here. Randy, let's see what happens.
Matt Coker put in charge of the field. Mustang safety car down onto pit lane, and here goes the number 69 machine of Matt Coker. Green flag back in the air. Peterson to the inside of Justin Lazombie. Let's see what happens here. Lazombie has reigned supreme on the restarts on the top side, but the 23 doing a good job on the bottom this time. They're going to stay side by side up and off of 2. Looking in the back, Mark Herzog and Seth the Merchant, they're fighting it out for the 4th spot as Christian Peterson's going to get inside the 03, and he's going to get that job done for the first time tonight. Move the 23 up into the 2nd spot. It's not Justin Lazombie running in P2.
No, and now this is a battle straight out of the Cars Esport Tour. Christian Peterson versus Matt Cucker. Between those two, they have won so many races in the past in the Cars Esport Tour, both seasons 1 and 2, and now the 67 of Herzog going to jump to the inside of the 03. Isn't able to make it stick. He's going to fall back to 4th, but he took a look, and it's going to hurt him now because Seth the Merchant is able to counteract the other way and says, thank you very much, I'll take that spot. And Seth the Merchant moves up to the 4th. So the 6-man motorsports guys on the move, but now the 67 gonna go for the crossover move. A little bit of kill crease crossover into turn 3 and 4.
The 32 machine fighting for that 4th spot, and the top side reigns supreme. Mark Herzog not able to make it work on the bottom through 3 and 4. He's at the top side now in the 4th position. Now trying to track down Justin Lazombie as the top 2 fight starting to get a little bit closer. Christian Peterson has been the quickest car on the racetrack. Matt Coker running 23.1s, 22.9 last time around for Peterson, and you see Peterson run the top, and we're already seeing that multi-groove action happening. The 69 opting for the middle through 3 and 4.
Yeah, the 69 car, and continuing just to put on a very good defense because it forces Christian Peterson. He's going to have to take an extreme line to the bottom or an extreme line to the top to be able to move that 69, or he might just put the bumper to him. We saw him do it in the Legends race before. Now the 69 going to go way up to the top. He's going to try out that line. That was the line that the guys started using in qualifying as the track got more and more slick on that bottom side, so maybe trying to experiment, see if they can get anything up there, but Christian Peterson loses a little bit of time, and the 69 begins to pull away ever so slightly.
So Matt Coker out in front, still dealing with the 23 of Christian Peterson. Now through turns number 4 and back up onto the front straightaway, logging lap number 43 now as they run top 5. Matt Coker, Chris Peterson, Justin Lazombie, Seth the Merchant, and Mark Herzog currently the top 5 as they run. Other names to keep an eye on through your top 10: Jody Green, Randy Yoakum, Jeremy Adams, John Leday, and Kyle Lavreau. They are, I think, are going to be the interesting people. There's a little bit of contact deep in the field. Mike Powell and Bryce Sedzak going into 3 and 4. They touch doors. They get it back underneath them, though. They're going to stay running straight. No one gets into the wall. No big issues for the most part. As we're quickly approaching this first segment in Cisco, everyone's starting to calm down just a little bit.
Yeah, and the first side-by-side action we're seeing at the moment, Paul Fugate just looked to the inside of Ryan Nichols and those two able to sort it all out. So behind them is a really intensive battle between Scott Naslin, John Ouellette, and Gary Weaver, the 0781 trip and the double three, or the 33, losing my mind here. But either way, Gary Weaver not able to make it work, and he's going to fall back into the clutches of Naslin here. So, and this is kind of the three-car battles we're seeing here, and what's going to make this lead fight a little bit interesting, because you can't get too offensive, Randy, because if someone's just not, if there's two cars going at it, the third car might be able to just fly by the other one if the move doesn't work.
Exactly, you have to pick your spots very, very well. So fighting apparently happening down for P20, huge amount of cars, and if we got a car around, is this the 03 that's on? But yes, it was. Top 5 runner goes around. Was this a mistake, or did he get run into from Seth the Merchant? Did Seth the Merchant help the 03 going around? No, actually, he did that all on his own, so we shouldn't be seeing the 32 go to the end of the line for that one. He got into the back of the 03, but it was after the 03 had already lost the back end.
Yeah, and the 03, once again, another great job, able to move that car straight around. Only 1.360 for the 03, able to get it back under power, but sadly, probably going to get the EOL penalties you mentioned here, Randy. But we're getting closer. Lap 47 right now these guys are working on. We're getting ever so close to that midway caution break at lap 75. Of course, if we get a caution right around there, we'll just use that as the midway race break. But for right now, not the case. So those guys gonna have to continue to race just a little bit longer, less than 25 laps to go once we get the green flag here.
Yeah, only gonna be about an 18 or so lap run to the, yeah, so gonna be not a lot of laps left on the counter here, but for the first time tonight, we're gonna step aside on Racespot TV and iRacing Live. Been a long night of coverage for us. We're gonna step away. We'll be back by the time we go back to green flag racing after this short ad break. Don't go away.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome back to Racespot TV and iRacing Live as coverage continues of your CEA East versus West in the Rest Challenge. Lights out on the pace car. I believe this is the 4th yellow of the evening for an incident involving the 03, who at the time was running 3rd. He goes to the end of the line here in Cisco. 25 laps left in this first segment and only 75 laps to the second segment. You don't want to be going to the back now.
No, you don't. That means these guys can be fighting tooth and nail to hold on to this lead spot when we get to that midway race break. But your top 5 right now: Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, Mark Herzog, and Jody Green. Those are your top 5. Then you got Randy Yoakum, Jeremy Adams, John Lyday, Kyle Leverall, and Michael Powell to round out the top 10.
32 cars still running in this one of the 34 that took the green flag. But that said, pace car down on a pit lane, and Matt Coker gets the green flag for the 5th time this evening. 69 machine on the go pedal. It's going to be interesting to see how he's challenged for the race lead on this restart, because he's got some new names behind him. And Christian Peterson looking aggressive through 1 and 2. The winner in your Legends race. He looks to make a move on the 69 machine down the back straightaway, but not yet able to do so. Doors get shut. He's not close enough. All the while, Seth the Merchant, who was a race winner from your qualifying, actually no, I take that back. He was not, fighting with Mark Herzog and Jody Green for P number 3. They're fitting out almost 4 wide. The race lead still kicking up though. Peterson to the inside of Matt Coker. Little bit of contact. He's at the lead for now, but the 69 fights back on the top.
These two have raced each other so much in the past on the iRacing service. Another battle between these two, once again under fire. Christian Peterson, he had the move done. He had first place in his sights. Never mind, yellow flag back out. In this one, a much bigger incident than what we've seen before. A bunch of cars involved, and it looks like it came from mid-pack.
Josh Lee involved in this one in the 9. You see him smoking. That's going to be the end of his night for sure.
99.
Sure, 99. Was it the 99 machine?
Yep.
That's heartbreak for him.
He got help from the 27, I do believe, Randy.
Yeah, it would certainly seem that way. They go running in. Yeah, you're definitely right. The 27 machine just basically got into the back of this. Tyler Simmons in the back of Tommy Ryan sends Tommy around, and actually I think luckily for Tommy, he sort of, avoided any big incident. Actually, be interesting to see if the ARCA brake rule comes back into effect for Josh Lee, because Josh Lee kind of plowed it in there and got into the back of, I'm not sure who that was, but that was after the initial incident. Not a lot of places to go though for that number 9 machine, but he plowed it into the back of the 36. So we might see that rule coming in, being enacted for the 2nd time tonight.
We'll have to see. We'll see what the officials say. He was certainly on the brake pedal more than I think the 38 was, but we'll have to see what happens. But Lee, I mean, at that point, he locked up the brakes, so he wasn't going to be able to go anywhere anyway. But the 36 of Kenneth Askew there basically got destroyed. The rear end of that Pennsylvania machine absolutely destroyed. And, well, he's got that car figured out now, so he came down pit road, got that car serviced. But big damage on the Pennsylvania machine.
Yeah, big damage indeed. I believe that's the 5th or 6th caution tonight. Not quite sure what exactly the count is at, but pretty eventful night this evening of racing. That's going to take a couple more cars out of this. I think we should be restarting with about 30 or so, given how big some of those contacts were. But talking about that 99 machine, that's someone who, Tommy Ryan, see him have a couple spins earlier on, be able to just keep it out of the wall, and he just had it happen again. He gets a slight touch in the middle of the field, and everyone basically able to get around him. That 99 machine is quick. The fact he's still racing after those couple incidents, that's pretty big. Although he is going to get another EOL penalty, so that's not great for him. But that said, after getting spun around, basically starting at the back anyways.
And Tommy Ryan's a driver we've seen formerly. First time we really saw him on LSRTV was with the Ascors Truck Series way back when, about a year ago. And then he ran in the United Sim Racing Truck Series. He's made a couple appearances in RSR as well. So this is a driver who's been around the iRacing service for a long time. That Northern Tool and Equipment car, very familiar. It's very similar to the one that Eric Darnell ran in the Truck Series. But Tommy Ryan, yes, he is actually sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. That is not just a normal Trading Paints car. We see that car everywhere, Randy, just because this is a driver who knows how to get it done, and, well, the sponsors knew and picked him up for it.
Well, let's see if he's going to be able to get it done through the 2nd segment. Well, the rest of this 1st segment even, because we're going to have about 17, 18 laps left of competition through segment number 1. That said, lights out on that Mustang safety car. Josh Lee, by the way, has called it a night. So that machine, then the 9, is going to be day done for him. But Matt Coker and Christian Peterson, like you said, two drivers we've seen race so much. They were starting to make these things interesting through that that last little green flag run, Cisco. Let's see how they do through this next little stint here. Hopefully we stay green to lap 75.
Yeah, if they can stay green to lap 75, then, well, you put the fresh tires on there, and considering you have Peterson and Coker up in the top 2 spots, those two on fresh tires may be able to just pull away from the field while they're continuing to battle. It'll be interesting, but Seth the Merchant also up there as well. He's up to 3rd, so maybe a little teammate dynamic is going to come into play here. The 23 and the 32 might be able to work a little bit together, but the 69, Coker, Peterson, the Merchant, Herzog, and Jody Green are your top 5.
Be 19 laps to the end of segment number 1. Matt Coker in command of the field again. Green flag in the air. 69 machine gets the field back underway. They cross the start-finish line and run down into 1 and 2. And Christian Peterson not under any threat at all from Seth the Merchant in the 32 behind. Through 1 and 2 they come, fighting side by side throughout the entirety of the field. Seth the Merchant able to comfortably slot himself in third, but the 67's up top. That's Herzog. 67 might be able to make a move on that 32 on the exit of 4, but the 32 just too good on the bottom.
Yeah, Seth the Merchant got an absolutely fantastic run, but it's going to come to bite him here because the 67 got a great run off the corner because he was up on the top side. So now Mark Herzog going to jump to the bottom side. That's not going to work, though, as it's going to go the other way. The Merchant able to use the top side back under yellow again, and this time more issues. The 81, the 31 around, and possibly that was late rate. That was further in the pack. Yeah, it was. The caution actually came out for the 89 of Jeremy Adams, who made contact, went around in the corner. Actually might have done that. No, he did make contact with the 2, and the issues with the 31 were just late race issues after that.
Yeah, there's almost a couple incidents happening at once there, but you're right, only a couple cars actually end up really going around. The 89 went around first, and the 81 trying to avoid, he bumper hooked the 31, and they both went around. The 31 caught the wall, 81 did not. So about 2 or 3 different incidents there. Tommy Ryan all the while avoiding that one. So talking about that Northern Tool and Equipment car, he's been driving through a bit of a minefield back there in the 99.
Yeah, he has, and for some of those guys involved in those later incidents, I mean, if you're Brad Carpenter, you just got completely blindsided because you had no idea you were about to get turned. He slowed down, he was good to go, then suddenly, whoop, there goes the car. Next thing you know, he backs it into the wall. So for Brad Carpenter, not terribly happy about that incident because there was nothing he could do.
Suddenly, whoop, there it is.
Yeah, suddenly, whoop, there it is. I got that one.
Just more like 90s references getting thrown out.
Yeah, the more 90s we go, the better I'll be.
Yeah, the more 90s we get, except the temperature. It's in the 90s here in San Diego, and it's not great. But that said, still back under caution, working lap 60 of 75 for this first segment. So things are going to be interesting here, Cisco, because the longest run we've really seen these guys get is about 10 to 11. And, you know, it's basically been 5 to 6 lap spurts of action and then quickly followed by a yellow. So for these guys, this actual, you know, if this keeps up, we might get this midway race break at a sort of an awkward point instead of at the halfway point. Because as you said, they were talking about calling the caution. Well, if a caution lands, they might call it a little bit early or even slightly later. So for these guys, you know, if their game plan and if they practice for 75 lap runs, they might get that shaken up a little bit if this pattern continues.
Yeah, and for those guys, that's definitely, it's going to change the game plan ever so slightly, because for those guys, if it comes out a little bit early, then that's just an extra couple of laps. They'll be going further than they would have on those tires. But we'll have to see how that cycles out. Caution lights still on the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car, so those guys continue to pace around. But to go back through the field, the guys who have been on the move lately, we've talked ad nauseum about Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson, making their way through the field. How about Charles Lahr in the 41? Made his way in, got a provisional. He's in, and all of a sudden he's in 13th, so started 34th, and he's 13th right now. And AJ Rogers, same boat for him, started 31st, no queue time. He runs 16th right now.
Yeah, a handful of guys doing very well to move their way up through this field. Been some interesting racing happening, both out front and down the middle of this pack. So this is going to be an interesting run to the end. I hope it stays green from here. Everyone needs to just calm down, take a chill pill. I think everyone being a little, you know, really over aggressive for what's happening here, because there's no field inversion or anything. These guys, you know, through this first segment, the racing is, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but they're fighting it out as if there's only 15 laps left in this one when there's still a whole 75 lap segment to go. As I say that, lights out on the safety car. You think they're going to be just as aggressive here?
They have to be coming to the 75 lap point. You want to be in front of as many cars as possible, because we're going to be sending, as it sits right now, about 30 cars down the Iowa Speedway pit road, which isn't known to be the most wide pit road here. So for those guys, this is going to be very interesting. You want to be in front of as many cars as possible, Randy. Also, side note, unfortunately, Wade Cheetah accidentally took tires, so that is night done for Wade Cheetah. I don't think he even meant to do that, but pace car in, green flag this time going to be by, and Cucker on the gas pedal here, green flag back in the air.
69 machine of wit. Matt Coker gets a good jump. He'll retain the race lead. Christian Peterson again comfortable in the second spot. Mark Herzog fights with the 32 of Seth the Merchant for third though. As they come off corner number 2, and 67 gets a good one on the top side. He's going to comfortably, I think, slot himself into third. No, not quite. The 32 fights. We're back under yellow again. Michael Powell involved. The 27 of Tyler Simmons involved. What happened this time?
It was the 27 again here, and he was
clipped the apron.
Yep, clipped the apron, and just shot straight to the outside, and John Ouellette just nowhere to go.
The 99 missed another one.
Yep, and unfortunately for Lisenby, who, remember, he spun, got trapped back in the field, he got collected in that, so Lisenby not having a great day at all, and if we can get on board the 2, he was about an inch away from that wreck, but somehow made it through there.
Yeah, that he has. So a couple incidents sort of happening at the same time there, but you know, some people get hurt. Actually, the 99 got caught up in the second one. That's Tommy Ryan. But again, he spins around and he doesn't hit anything. So the 99, just, you know, if you can dodge a car, you can. Well, if you can dodge a ball, you can dodge half the field in a K&N race, apparently.
Apparently so, and I just can't get over the fact the 2 made it through that with no damage, because that's an incredible piece of driving. He was on the brakes. He was out of control at that point because he was brake lockup and somehow made it through that. So the 2 absolutely, I don't know how he made it through, but he did. And as a result, still no damage on that 2 after all of that. And as you mentioned, the 99 of Tommy Ryan dodges another bullet here. He's going to make his way up through the field. Well, actually, no, he's going to come down pit road and repair that piece of damage he got from the spin there. But Randy, the 99, he's using up a lot of good luck now. I don't want to know what happens once he uses up all of that good luck.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't use it all up in segment number 1 and segment number 2. But since he's in chat, Josh, you see what Mike Powell just did on the brakes? That's how you use the brakes to avoid an incident that's happening in front of you. Don't hate me forever. But still, Matt Coker, let's talk about that, Cisco. He has been pretty much unchallenged out here in the lead. Haven't really had enough green flag runs to really see him get challenged, but all race long, he's just sat out there and he's just been calmly triggering laps. We've seen him, you know, a couple side-by-side moments earlier, but for the most part, he's been clean and green out there with the lead.
Yeah, and part of that's been able just down to the awesome restarts he's been able to get. I think Peterson doesn't quite have a super short run car. I think he likes those longer runs, maybe saved his tires for that. But for Peterson, this is going to be interesting because, well, his teammate's back to 4th now, so Peterson back to the point where he has to fight on his lonesome here and see what he can do with Coker here. But I have to think, if you're the 23, you know what I'm thinking here, Randy? I'm thinking long-term, your second place, you may as well wait for the pit stops and then use those fresh tires to get back out in front.
Yeah, I think that's the game plan right here. Like I said, almost all of these guys, they need to keep it somewhat calm, because I mean, we're inside of 9 laps to the end of segment number 1, so it's going to be 8 at the most if we get the lights out and the 1 to go sign here, which the way everyone's running, I don't think they are. No one's forming it up. That said, 69 is kind of slotting to the inside, and the 23 is taking the outside of that first row. So maybe, yeah, lights are going to go out this time, actually. So just going green next time by. So it's going to be, you know, 8 laps, 7 laps or so left in this first segment. Really not a lot to race for any of these guys. They just need to make it calm, and hopefully we get a big green flag run to the end for this.
And just something of note, Christian Peterson and the 69 of Matt Coker, both technically from the East, but they're not racing like their rivals right now. So 2 East Coast drivers leading the field. Then you got the 67 of Herzog. He's the first driver from the West. He's in 3rd right now. Seth the Merchant, the 32. He is also a driver from the East Coast. And then you have Jody Green in the 13th. He's from the Carolinas, also in the East. So the East dominating performance so far, hold 4 of the top 5 spots.
Yeah, that they do. As Fields getting themselves single file. This is actually, I believe, inside of 10 laps. We're going to go to single file restarts. Matt Coker in command of the field, followed by Peterson, Herzog, and DeMerchant. Green flag back in the air. They get back to green flag racing. Single file here into 1 and 2. They come, and for the most part, everyone stays single file through the early stages of this restart. The Merchant trying to work a cutback on the 67 of Herzog, trying to get to 3rd.
Yeah, Herzog doing everything he can to hold on to that position. Set the Merchant down to the inside, gonna try and complete that pass. Meanwhile, up front, they're battling for the lead. Christian Peterson on the bottom. These guys, they're teammates in the region, but it doesn't matter. Christian Peterson wants that lead, and he wants it badly. Gonna surrender, though, for the moment to Matt Cucker. Now Set the Merchant holds on to the third place position. The 13 of Jody Green tried to go after Herzog, wasn't able to do it, so Herzog falls back to fourth. The Merchant to third. Peterson to second, continues to be in second, and Cucker continues to hold that lead.
Peterson tried hard to lead a lap, but Coker still led every lap of this segment. 0.05 of a second was the margin at the line through that side-by-side moment. Currently walking lap number 70 of 75 in this first segment. 5 laps to go in segment number 1. Next time through here is Christian Peterson trying to reel in Matt Coker and trying to make that 69 machine not lead every lap of segment number 1. Off of corner number 4 they go. 5 laps to go in this first segment. The 23 trying to make stuff happen, but nothing seems to stick for him at the moment.
Yeah, Peterson trying to do everything he can. I'm not sure if it's in the cars. See, that car had to pass a bunch of cars. Started 12th, and he's second right now. Had to pass 10 cars to get up there. Matt Cucker, meanwhile, started first. He runs first, so he didn't have to pass any cars to get up there. I think Peterson might have used up the good out of his tires, and he's making moves. I just don't think that car is stable enough to make it work on the bottom.
I think you're right. As the fight for the race lead is heating it up again. Christian Peterson is still the quickest car on the racetrack, 22.9 compared to Matt Coker's 23 flat. No need to worry about tire conservation here. The 23 fires it up the inside into 3 and 4 of the 69 machine. Will he be able to make it stick? No, he won't. The 69 gets a big run along the top of the racetrack through now. Starting lap number 73, 3 laps to go in segment number 1. Can Peterson rob that top spot for Matt Coker at the end of this first segment?
He's certainly going to try. Meanwhile, Mark Herzog has gotten back around Seth the Merchant, so the first driver from the West continues to cling on to that third place position. Peterson going to try again. Caution's going to be out, though, and that's going to be our halfway break, and it's carnage on the back straightaway.
Another big incident down the back straight. We see 2-3 cars facing the wrong way. Ryan Nichols is one of them. We'll have to get a replay here of what happened.
Oh my.
Big incident. Big incident. Nichols flipping up in the air. Huge incident for that 17.
And that was a slight touch with the 44 of Paul Fugate. Those two got together. 17 got loose, tried to hold on to it, got in the wall, and the 41 just drop kicked the 17. And Nichols got about a flip in the air or so in, came back down in front of the field, and one more car wasn't able to avoid. And I'm trying to see who that was, and that was the 99
did,
so
Mecca. That's good.
Yeah,
Keeping
the 99 missed
alive.
it, but Mecca just absolutely destroyed the 17 when the 17 landed back down on the racetrack. And you know what the sad part is? I believe those two are teammates.
That it is, but Cisco, we talked about this, because if a caution flew early, they would count it as the halfway race break. And so this is what's happening. You see the entire field coming down. They're going to top up on race fuel. They're going to take 4 new tires. A little bit early here, but this is our halfway race break here of segment number 1 done and over with. Segment 2 will be starting at the end of this caution period.
Yeah, and it's mandatory 4 tires. There won't be tire strategy here to play. It's only going to matter. Really, the only difference going to be is if you take any damage repair for that car, if you have to stay in the box to do that. Matt Cucker, easy win off, and they're going to be 3 wide for third. And I think Christian Peterson just squeaked by Mark Herzog and basically single file out the rest of the field. But that was a great battle for third.
Randy Yoakum comes out second. He didn't take tires.
That's not good because you are required to take tires when you're down pit road. He's not going to be able to do that. He's going to, I believe, have to come back down pit road here.
That's interesting. I almost wonder if he may have came down on a pit road at one point for some sort of repair and had the tires unchecked and for some reason didn't take them. But everyone else I see going up and taking all 4. But Randy Yoakum, that could be an unfortunate mistake for him at this point. It'll be interesting to see whether they disqualify him or if they just make him come down and take tires. No, they gave him an EOL penalties. If you're Randy Yoakum, that's the worst possible outcome because now you not only do you not get tires, but you have to be around a bunch of people on new tires while you're at the back of the pack. Disaster for the 4.
Yeah, the Randy has to pit now. He has to pit when he gets back to pit road, this time if it's even open, because otherwise he's going to be at such a disadvantage, and really stinks for that 4 because he was making his way through the field there and just a slight miscue there, and he's going to go from what was second place all the way back to the tail end of the field. That's going to be round about 27th for him. Got about 27 cars left in this race, and sadly for Yoakum, just wrong time to be doing that. And I think he has to take tires here, Randy. if he's going to stand any chance to keep up with those guys.
Well, that's even if he's able to, because with the way the rules are written, I would say he can't come down and take tires. If you're only allowed tires during that one pit stop that everyone comes down pit lane, I would say the 4 just used his pit stop and he didn't take tires. I think regardless of what happened, I think the 4 is, you know, he got the EOL, and I think it might be SOL as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. I wonder if the officials might let him come down to take tires just as a special case, but no, he doesn't come down. So Randy Yoakum, he's a man on a very small island right now, because not only does, like you said, he doesn't have the fresh tires, he can't come down and get any for the rest of the race, Randy. So Yoakum just, he's doomed at this point.
Unfortunate.
Oh, unchecked. Yeah, you were right. He instinctively unchecked them according to the radio transmissions we're hearing, and you were absolutely right.
Paul Fugate as well being an EOL. Any idea what that was for? Oh, did he cause the last caution?
Yeah, he made contact with the 17 as well, caused that yellow, so they're deciding to give the EOL to the 17. So the hometown hero, Paul Fugate, gonna have to go to the back of the field. He's gonna have to Jimmy Johnson this if he hopes to get back up to the front.
Yep, and that said, all said and done, we're going to be going green for segment number 2 on lap number 78 coming to 79. So this second segment here, Cisco, it's not going to be quite 75 laps if we run to the full 155 lap distance. It's going to be more like 77, 78. So for these guys, a slightly longer run to the checkers to end this one. This is going to be a fun run here through segment number 2.
If I'm Christian Peterson, I'm thinking I don't want to use up those tires like I did in the first stint of this run, because he wasn't able to do anything with the 69 when he did. You got to get past Cucker and then save those tires, because you may be able to put on a heck of a defense here to hold off the 69. But either way, Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, Mark Herzog, Seth the Merchant, and Jody Green. That's your top 5. They haven't changed a whole lot, but they're going to be top 5 as they head to the green.
Segment number 1 is done and in the books. Time to get started on segment number 2. 4 fresh tires in the engine res build. Green flag in the air for the second segment. Matt Coker gets a good jump here with the race lead. Christian Peterson nowhere near to be able to fight for that second spot. It says the Merchant fights with the 67 Herzog for third. He's going to get it comfortably. And by the way, we have confirmation from race control. Yoakum will not be allowed to take tires. He's set for this entire 150 lap run essentially on that single set. Bad days for Yoakum.
Yeah, and Herzog hit the bump going into turn 1, and that's what lost him that position with the Merchant. He's side by side right now with the turn 2 designs driver of Jody Green. Meanwhile, right behind him now, caution's going to come out, and we'll have to see what that is for in a couple cars.
Powell.
Yep, that's going to be, looks like maybe a little bit of commentator's curse for the 2, because he was running really well, and then all of a sudden, looks like he's going to make contact with the 93, and then get piled into by the 24. So a couple car incident there, and Michael Powell, who's this race was going very well for, and it looks like not going to end very well for the 2 right now. He still has an engine in that car, but he's going to have to go all the way from the back of the field now.
Yeah, there's going to be an EOL for sure, and it's important to note that even though that motor's still running, it was a pretty hard hit he took from that number 24 machine after he started to spin. So I think that it's not going to be all happy days here for the 2 machine in terms of stuff. Important to note, 99 yet again misses another incident, and he's just slowly clawed his way up. Tommy Ryan in that number 99 machine, he's up to 16th after at one point getting the end of the EOL penalty, and we haven't had enough green flag racing for him to do most of those spots under green flag conditions. I think he's just slowly been leapfrogging people as they get into incidents. Actually, Michael Powell was disqualified.
And we'll have to see what happened there, but either way, he was disqualified, and we're waiting to see. This might send these guys back to single file since they had a yellow this early on. And Randy, that's something that CEA does. If they have several cautions in a row, enough to the point where they're not able to get any racing time in at all, Kyle Barnes, the league admin's going to go, you know what? We're just going back to single file racing to let you guys be able to restart properly. So we'll have to see if it's going to happen this yellow, but either way, we're getting close to that threshold, Randy.
Now, actually talking about that, you know, you're a lot more familiar with this league and the rules they are. Do they? I know that I know they employ the USAC rule of if you cause a caution, you go to the end. Do they employ the rule of if you get tagged again, you get DQ'd? Because that's
Yep.
what happened to Michael
Second
Powell.
strike.
So yeah, that's what happened. That was his second strike. He goes to the he goes to the infield essentially. The 2 machine. His night is done. Second incident caused in this 155 lap event. That's, I believe, caution number, are we 8 or 9 at this point?
Yeah, we're starting to get up there on the caution count. We'll have to find out what the official number is. But what's going to be fairly interesting is a couple drivers who are starting to make their inroads into the top 5 here. John Lyday and Kyle Leverall have been 6 and 7 for a little while here, but both those guys looking to break into the top 5. They've been outside of it for a while, and it looks like problems for Ronnie Osborne in the 55 received throughput, so Knight probably done for the 55. He's done. He had also just gotten an EOL penalty, so Osmer's night goes from absolutely fine to horrible in the span of about 2 turns.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. Is by the looks of things, we're going to be going to a single file restart. We should, I believe, be getting the lights out this time by, if not next time by. And normally the guys would start to sort of form up, but the way they're currently running, I'd suggest they're going to be doing a single file restart here. So hopefully maybe clean the racing up just a little bit. Pace car comes through and lights actually stay on, so maybe no idea just yet, as they should be going out next time by.
Yep, and you know, just looking through more of the field, we'll do a quick full field rundown since we have a little bit of time to do so. Matt Cucker, Christian Peterson, obviously your leader, Seth the Merchant, Mark Herzog, Jody Green. Those positions really haven't changed a whole lot except the swapping for 3rd. Then John Lyday and Kyle Leverall, we mentioned a moment ago. Then we got Bryce Senesac, Brian Hacker, Scott Austin, Jeremy Adams, Justin Lisenby, Mike Einarelli, Gary Weaver, and Zach Mecca. That's your top 15, Randy. And then further on, you got about, I'd say, 9 cars left, about 24 cars left on the lead lap at the moment.
Yeah, and that's actually really interesting to keep in mind, is that you have about 9 cars that are really kind of out of this one. Really, all the cautions we've had, they've been little incidents. We've only had a few big hits. Most of this field, even halfway through this racing and halfway through this race and through, you know, better part of 9 or 10 yellows, pretty much most everyone's still out there.
Yeah, and these guys going to go double file one more time. They're going to get, I believe, one more shot at it before they're going to be forced to go back to single file. So this is the last chance for these guys to figure it out, I believe, on double file. After that, it's going to be single file. As we mentioned, those top 5 really haven't changed. Just to note, everyone behind the 15th place driver of Zach Mecca, Tommy Ryan runs 16th, Brandon L. Smith 17th, AJ Rogers is 18th, 19th, Brad Carpenter, Scott Naslin's 20th, 21st to Paul Fugate, Tyler Simmons 22nd, 23rd is Randy Oakham, and Kenneth Askew is going to be 24th. That's all of your lead lap cars.
Also, as per chat, as it goes double file, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is the word of the day. Even the sound of it is something quite atrocious. Matt Coker in the 69 going to be in command of the field. They're going to be rolling back out here to green flag conditions. Space car in, 69 machine in charge of the field. And we get green flag racing here in segment number 2. Matt Coker gets a good jump as Seth the Merchant tries to slot himself into 3rd. Might try to slot up the inside of Christian Peterson for 2nd.
Yeah, and Peterson holding that top line at the moment. He's going to go almost straight in the wall, and Peterson swiping in front of his teammate, Seth the Merchant. Now down to the bottom side here. They're going to go side by side for the lead. This has been Peterson's best opportunity. Not going to happen again, though, as Cucker going to retake the lead. And sadly, the yellow is going to come back out, and oh, big pile up on the front stretch.
This is a big pile up. A lot of cars involved indeed. I see 2 blown motors down through the infield, and let's see what happened to cause this one. Replay coming up, and I haven't seen the actual cause just yet. That to 98 again?
Yeah, it was the 98 contact with the 11 is what triggered that yellow, and then the 98 just got hooked by the 03 of Lisenby. The 98 was just along for the ride at that point, and then just gets blasted by the 44 of Paul Fugate, who I believe was trying to slow down for it. We'll have to take a look. But either way, the 98's run, we had just talked about him. He was starting to move up in the field, but sadly for the 98, just along for the ride at that point. That contact with the 11, and they are going to give the penalty to the 11. That's Brian Hacker, and also the 44 Paul Fugate. He's smoking, so that engine may be just about to pop at this point.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. So big incidents coming in, and important to note, no one has lost any spots yet. So big trouble, but still Matt Coker leading every single lap of this one.
Yeah, he will, and I think what we're going to do, Randy, is we're going to step aside for a moment, take a moment to catch our breath, see if we can get a third member in here to help us out a little bit. So, we're going to step aside for a moment. You're watching the iRacing CEA East versus West and the Rest Challenge here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live. We'll be back in a moment.
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshields at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Welcome back to Racespot TV and iRacing Live as the lights go out on the iRacing safety car, and these guys should be gridding up single file to go back to green flag racing here tonight. A lot of cautions tonight, and for that reason, well, actually I'm not sure. It seems like some people not getting the memo, thinking about forming up double file through the middle of the field. A little bit of confusion. Looks like they're now getting word from the officials that it's going to be a single file restart. So here goes the field. Single file tonight. This is caution number 10, but Randy Chinetz, Cisco Scaramuza, now joined by Austin Coop, who will get in just a few moments' time after we get back to green flag racing. Cisco, who needs to be quick here if we finally get ourselves some green flag running?
Well, we've really only seen the battle for the lead be between Christian Peterson and Matt Coker. Seth DeMerchant was up there with them, but didn't really have a chance to make a move. So depending on if these guys go green here, Seth DeMerchant may have a chance to go up there and battle with these guys for the lead. But we'll just have to wait and see. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car heads to pit road. Matt Coker on the loud pedal. Green flag back in the air. We're back racing here from Iowa.
So single file, so everyone's going to remain that way, pretty much down into corners number 1 and 2. No one really fighting with anybody just yet, as you see right now. Seth DeMerchant trying to put the moves on Christian Peterson and get a run off too. He gets a little bit of a wiggle, not able to do so. Into 3 and 4 they come. The 23 working that middle groove. Everyone else opting for the top side, really. Matt Coker, very odd line through 3 and 4 there. Really kind of diamonds it off on the exit, but he's going to retain the lead for now. Through 1 and 2 they come, working lap number 93 of 155.
Yeah, and Seth DeMerchant now on the coattails of these three, and we'll allow this to be a moment, since this is kind of a Cars eSport Tour All-Stars sort of battle right now. We'll welcome in the guy who calls that series on Wednesday nights on LSRTV, Austin Coop. And this is a series you're very familiar with. These guys, you see them all the time, and a great battle for the lead right now.
Yeah, these two doing battle almost gets into him off of turns number 2. And look, DeMerchant's going to go on the outside. We see the 23 and the 69 do battle just about every other Wednesday. Those two do battle so much, and they know how to race each other. So these two know how to race each other really well. And then DeMerchant's in here too. This driver was a teammate of the 23 for such a long time. He just gets by his old teammate, I should say, right there. And it looks like that 32 has a really souped up car right now. Got off of 2 in a really good fashion, and he actually left the 23 in the dust. So expect that the number 32 of DeMerchant to really make a move. He's looking to the inside right there, but he's not gonna have it quite yet.
So still fighting out here through the front of this field, and Seth DeMerchant trying to get to the inside of the 69 machine. I think he just has a nose down the back straightaway. They come and not quite able to do so. He had to lift out of it. Not a good run for the 32 machine. To the 23 of Peterson. Gonna try to work the bottom to get a move done. That's not gonna stick yet. Cisco to come off corner number 4. Still nose to tail for the top 3.
Yeah, Seth now going to dive to the inside here in the 69. He's going to try it again. So DeMerchant, apparently the former teammate of Christian Peterson, now going to try and make it work, but a little bit of an issue coming out of turn 2, and he's going to drop back in line to the 69 here. So Seth DeMerchant not able to make it work that time. I'm almost having to wonder if they're going to have to go to the top side and have to boot each other out of the way here to maybe take that lead.
Might have to be coming that way, but then again, everyone's been working the top side as it is, so you can't really run where cars are running in order to make moves to get yourself up the order here as they work themselves into 3 and 4 now. Still working the top side, and Coop, I know you're a little bit more experienced in these cars. For these guys, when are you going to maybe think about really making moves? Because there's still a lot of racing left to go. About 56 laps left on the table here. When do you start getting aggressive? Do you start now, or do you start in, say, 15 laps time when you think you're going to have the tires to make it to the end?
Well, I'd say with the fact that it's easy to hold the lead, you've got to make the decision to either go for it now and try and keep that lead, or you've got to wait and then make that move. I think either one works depending on how much you save. But if you go for that lead now, which it looks like the 32 wanted it for a little bit, and now he's gonna have to cool those tires back down. That was a move I thought that was really good. He's losing a little bit of time, and looks like the 23 is going to get on the inside right here and make that pass for position for P number 2. But getting that second position is not as difficult as getting that top spot right now. We see those two doing battle, and it's all that the 69 wants to see. Many laps still to go in this race, but you've got to think, if I can get around him and then hold him up a little bit, that gives me 1, time to cool off my tires, and 2, sets him in an area he doesn't really want to be in. Looks like the 32 will hold them off right there, so that battle kind of, succeeds. But right now, Jody Green in that number 3 is getting passed by. It looks like the 3 and the 7 are doing battle, actually. Overall, it's going to be on the inside, and that's going to be a good battle for the top 5 position right there.
As John Leday in the 3 and Jody Green in the 13 fighting through corner number 1 and 2. Now the 3 machine moves himself up into the 5th spot. Fight for the race lead is still on. Still a 3-car battle as Christian Peterson goes to the bottom against the yellow line, trying to get inside Seth DeMerchant, not quite able to do so. And Cisco, the thing that you need to keep in mind, as hard as these guys are thinking about fighting up here for the front, they have to keep an eye on that 67 of Mark Herzog just a little bit further back. Herzog's just been running clean laps basically with clean track all on his own. In fact, he's run some of the quickest laps of this green flag run just for the fact that he's been able to do so with clean track, not having to look in the mirror. And Seth DeMerchant gets a big run off of 4. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't do it. Yes, he does. To the inside of the 69 machine for the race lead. The 32 goes now to the inside of 1 and 2, but we see the middle of the racetrack be favored, and the 69 is yet again going to defend on the top side. That 32 has to find some way to make the top work, Cisco.
The longer the 32 keeps diving it to the inside, going down there, not able to make the run, and then just burning up those tires, he's going to have less and less tires to be able to do this with Cucker. I think at some point he's going to have to come to the realization that he can't make the car work down there. He's going to have to try the top side, and I think either have to move the 69 off the top side or do something, but he's going to try it again here down on the bottom side. This was an excellent run, but here comes the 69 again. He's able to get that overcut, and DeMerchant just doesn't have the car quite to be able to hold on that bottom side.
Not getting a good run off the corner is the problem. He's able to get a good run into the corner, and right around the midway transition, he sort of equals out, and then from there, the 69 and the 23, they're both up top, just basically completely overtake him in terms of speed. See it again through 3 and 4. Actually, 69 bobbles just a little bit. 3 wide for your race lead. The 32 almost gets into the 69. This might be the Merchant's one chance down the front straightaway. That might be the first lap that someone's led that isn't Matt Coker, and yes, it was. The Merchant leads that one. 69, though, works the cut back through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. 69 trying to get the race lead back, but we know the top is favored. How can the 32 make it work? 23 of Peterson down to the bottom. 3 wide again for your race lead through 3 and 4. They make it work yet again. The Merchant goes to the lead. Peterson tried to snag the second spot, not able to do it.
Oh, wow. What an amazing example of how well these guys can drive. All 3 of these guys are definitely exemplify what it means to race really well against each other and give each other plenty of room. I mean, there's tons of laps left, and yet these guys are still going at it. And to be honest, they're not losing time to the driver behind him of Mark Herzog. I mean, they're not losing that much time going 3 wide. And you know, the big winner there was the Merchant, and I don't know if he would have got that pass done without Peterson doing that. So it definitely helped. And now if the 32 feels he's got a superior car at this point, he can definitely either pace the field where he wants to go, or what he can try and do is he can really try and just hold back a little bit as much as he thinks is necessary to hold his tires. You can see where he likes that car, and the 23 is going to try and pass on the inside right there as well. So look at that right there for P2.
99 and the 89 as well, fighting a little bit deeper down the field. But that said, the fight for your race lead is still on. That's Jeremy Adams and Tommy Ryan we're talking about. The 99 on the bit of that recovery drive that we've been talking about out there. So, and he's done a fantastic job avoiding a lot of incidents and keeping that car clean. He's actually currently side by side with the 03 of Justin Lasanby as they roll through 1 and 2. These guys are fighting up near the front of the field early on in this one. Now they get cycled back down a little bit due to incidents, and Tommy Ryan able to hold on to that spot. That's currently 8th place, setting his sights on Jeremy Adams, trying to snag a P7. But looking back out front, Cisco sets the Merchant, able to start stretching a gap over P2 and P3. Christian Peterson now comfortably in the 2nd spot, and Matt Coker maybe really used up those 4 tires. He currently is slotted himself into 3rd.
Yeah, I think Coker just doesn't have, I think that car with the fresh air was able to hold that line, but I just don't think he has the speed now that he's fallen into the dirty air. The only thing to note here is not too far up the road is going to be a little bit of lap traffic. It's the 93 Matt Hummel. He's going to pull to the inside here, so I don't think it's going to be much of a factor. No, he isn't, because he's actually going to hit the apron, so a non-factor is going to be that 93. I think, Coker, at this point, you got to cool off those tires a little bit when you sit in the back here, Randy, and maybe try and make your move later on. Let the 23 and the 32 fight it out here, and then try and go in for the kill later in the race.
Still going to be 40 or so laps to go once they, well, basically going in this one, currently working lap 114 of 155. So Matt Coker, he has time to work. I think you're absolutely right, Cisco. I think he just needs to sit and just, you know, even if it involves letting them stretch the gap by a few tenths, just let them run away, really try to conserve here and try to come on strong near the end of the race. Right now, though, your battle for the race lead really has toned it down. So let's look a little bit ways through your field, see where we got some racing happening. We got side by side Tommy Ryan getting himself up into P6. That was good, getting himself around Jody Green, and really awesome. We've seen that number 99 machine after that early incident where he got sent around and got an EOL. He's really done a fantastic job avoiding all the issues and keeping that car clean through the field. Now he sets his sights on maybe snagging a top 5, but that number 3 of John Leday is a ways ahead by about 2 seconds.
Yeah, I remember seeing number 99 just earlier this week, and saw him do really well, and now he's doing a really good job getting a distance between the guys behind him who are doing battle. Jeremy Adams and Jody Green just do battle. Look, that's a slide job right out of turns number 4. You don't see that very often at a track like this. Typically see the pass and it's gone, but looks like Jeremy Adams, he got the pass on him and knew he couldn't complete it without getting in front of him out of the corner, so he gets in front of Jody Green, who started in that 3rd position, and he's fallen off a little bit as the run's gone on and trying to make his way back up towards the front too. But what an amazing move by Jeremy Adams to get that position right out of turns number 4.
Fantastic racing indeed, up and down the field, but for the most part, things really getting themselves somewhat strung out here. Keeping an eye on the 99 and how he's going to be able to pace catch this 3 machine. Cisco, last couple laps, 2.5 to 3 tenths is what Tommy Ryan has taken out of John Leday, and actually keeping track. That number 99 machine is one of the quickest cars out there on the racetrack. Not a lot of people logging in the 23.2s right now, only him, and last time through was Christian Peterson in the 23. Everyone else running 23.3s. So if he can get there, that 99 machine, maybe he needs a little bit of help from a caution or something, he will be competitive towards the end of this one if he gets the opportunity.
I think the 99 is on his radio right now saying that there's a water bottle in turn 3, there's a fan in the stands on the catch fence in turn 2, anything so that he can get a caution, because I think if Tommy got back into that, if he gets back into that top 5 and is a threat for the lead, I think that car's going to come good and we're going to see an excellent battle. But single file continues for your top 3, and Seth the Merchant's been able to open up that gap ever so slightly over his maybe we still don't know, his maybe teammate. They're on and off all the time, Christian Peterson, and Matt Cucker in third continues to ride. They passed 2 lap cars meanwhile while we were looking around, the 27 of Tyler Simmons and the 36 of Kenneth Askew, both of those guys. And then we find 4th place behind those guys of Mark Herzog, who's really fallen off of those guys, then John Leday, and then there's Ryan, who we just talked about.
So quickly approaching 30 laps to go left in this one. Your CEA East versus West in the rest challenge as they come off the corner number 2 and that down the back straightaway. Seth the Merchant still maintaining the speed. And actually, I think the fact that the 99 pushing as hard as he is, Tommy Ryan here, Austin, really kind of shows how much this lead group is just sort of pacing themselves, because I think that this group has it in them to run 23.2s. I think that there's, the drivers themselves could do that as Tommy Ryan gets himself now into the top 5 and around John Leday. I think the rest of them in the top 3, though, Seth the Merchant, Chris Peterson, Matt Coker, I think they're just pacing themselves right now, knowing they don't have to push and knowing they still need these tires for about another 30 some odd laps.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation, is the fact that they kind of just raced really hard for those few laps. Probably some of the best racing I've seen in a few weeks, going three wide there off of turns 4 and kept it straight and were able to continue doing battle. But when that happened, the guys, they didn't get to choose what lane they got to race, and they had to kind of figure out what to do, the top, middle, bottom lane. And some lanes are harder on the tires than others, and when you don't get to do exactly what you want to do, you might actually wear those tires more or less than what you want. But it could be something like that. But I mean, I see the 23 trying to go to the bottom of the 32 right now, trying to get that pass done, and he's going to be heads up with him on the front straightaway. But as we've always seen, that outside lane is still prevailing. I don't know if they're maybe taking it easy here. I just have to see as the laps go on. But if you go easy, I think you may lose track of the ultimate goal at the end of this one.
Seth the Merchant, he didn't really put together a great lap 124. He's about 3 tenths off the pace, and I think the number 23 maybe smelled a little bit of blood in the water and thought there might be an opportunity to pick up the spot, maybe thinking the 32 would burn his stuff up, but doesn't really seem to be the case right now for Seth the Merchant. He seems to have equalized with both Christian Peterson as well as Matt Coker. Coker about a 10th off the 2 of them last time through, but for the most part, top 3 all still really, really even. As the 99 now, Tommy Ryan all over the back of Mark Herzog for 4th as they run down your back straightaway and into 3 and 4. Seen Tommy Ryan really slow down since getting to the back of the 67. You see him go down to the inside, though. This is fighting down for the 4th spot. Cisco 99 has a nose at the line, and I think in a 1 and 2 he's going to throw it in hard, and he should just get clear. Will he? Actually doesn't even really need to go to the bottom of the 67, trying to work a big cutback. Going to get a big head of steam here. Does he throw it up the inside of Tommy Ryan into 3 and 4? The lead is heating up as well. Seth the Merchant and Christian Peterson. Peterson has the race lead. Some lap traffic. Oh, close moment. The 05 gets sent around. Caution flies.
And that was what, and Coop, I know why you're going to oh no, because we'll get to that in a moment. The problem with that was there was so much lap traffic in front of those guys. The 05, the 93 was up in the wall, which is why the 32 shot the middle. And Austin, you're going oh no, because if you're on the same track that I think you are, do you think the 32 just EOL'd himself out of this lead battle?
I don't think it was something that he did on purpose, but I'd say that it's going to have to go to race control on that one. And when you're talking about a very slim area to go, if you take it frame by frame, he has nowhere to go. Like right before the start-finish line, he sees the 93 in the outside wall. He sees the 23 to his outside and has nowhere to go. I'd say from race control, I have an ear in race control. Actually, I'm in the same room as him. you know, I don't believe that that's going to be the call. I say that the Merchant's actually going to have a lot of front end and right side damage. That was really what I was knowing about, but he lost the lead too with all of that happening. So I can't imagine that Race Control would do that to the 32, but he did make contact with that driver. I think it's up to Race Control at this point.
Well, how do blue flag rules work for this, Austin? Because if their lead lap cars need to get out of the way,
93 got it.
93. Yeah, because he was in the outside wall already, slowing one lap traffic driver down. I think it was an all matter of circumstance, because if that driver in the outside wall wouldn't have been there, we wouldn't have had this situation, which is what I heard from Barnes in the room just now.
That's an interesting call, because I actually see it another way. I would actually, if I were in the position, I would make the argument that the 32 is should be under scrutiny here, because I would make the argument that no matter what, if you're never really allowed to run into the back of someone, I would say that if anyone should go to the EOL, I would say probably the 32. That said, the 93, as you said, if he wasn't there, it wouldn't have been nearly as big of an issue. So very, very interesting situation. But if you're set the Merchant, even though you got a bit of damage, probably breathing a sigh of relief they didn't get tagged with an EOL for that one, Cisco.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case, but now the 99's got to be the happiest driver on the track at the moment, because he gets his shot now. He is 4th, so he's going to be right behind the 69 at Cucker. He's going to be right behind the 32 at DeMerchant and also Christian Peterson. So this is Tommy Ryan's shot. The problem is, did he use up his car to get into that position beforehand, or will he have anything left for the top 3? We're about to find out here, Randy. Light's still on the pace car, so we'll have to wait a lap or two, but this could very well turn what we saw a 3-car battle into a 4-car battle.
Yeah, that it very well could, and it's going to be interesting to see at Coker. We saw him really start pacing himself, what the tires on that machine is going to be like. Christian Peterson assessed the Merchant. They were fighting really hard. Peterson has a little bit of damage. How's that going to slow him down? The Merchant has a little bit of damage. How's that going to slow him down? And Tommy Ryan, who's been fighting his way from the back of the field, has got himself up there. Going to be 20 laps to go. Austin, who's your favorite?
Well, I'd say that I was looking at the 69 car because he was kind of just waiting for things to happen, but I see a lot of rear-end damage on that car, and it may not mean a lot right now, but that's still a lot of drag the car is not intended to have, of course, on the back straightaway, the front straightaway. He's still got that corner speed, but it still hurts as it goes on, especially with the older your tires get. I know he led a lot this race, but without that damage, I'd say he'd be the one I'd pick. I'd say we'd at least have to give the 99 a chance here, because he hasn't had a shot up there, but it's going to be between those front two if they have anything to say about it. They've been really strong, taking opportunities when they get them, and it's kind of whichever one gets in that position. I'd say with 20 laps to go, probably when we go green, it's kind of either one of their game, I'd say, just because of how situational this race has become. 32 wouldn't have lost that lead with whatever that lap car situation was, and truthfully, if that never happened, Christian Peterson would have been on the inside, probably lost that edge on the inside. But we're going to get double file restarted here from Race Control here. As I say, we go 1 to green here.
Cisco, what's your call? Who do you think's good? Who do you think's the favorite?
That DeMerchant was so quick, but the problem with him is that damage, so I have to think Christian Peterson sitting in a very good position right now because he didn't use up the tires as much as the 69 did, and he doesn't have the damage the 32 does. The X factor here is how strong is that 99 car still, and yes, that isn't a mirage. We're going back to double file restarts here, so if we can survive, this should be a good, interesting race here for the end, as the 67, I think, just got punted by the 89 under caution.
If we survive, and we don't even survive almost all the way under yellow. So it'll be interesting to see how Race Control responds to that, how big that hit was. But field double files up, lights out on the pace car. We're going to be going green with 21 laps to go. Watching for that iRacing safety car come down on a pit lane, and Christian Peterson, who's been competitive all night, will be in command of the field. Top 4 we think are the favorites: Peterson, DeMerchant, Coker, and Ryan. Pace car comes in, Peterson in charge of the field. Actually, the 32, DeMerchant tries to jump it, and because of that, he might pay the price. Peterson gets on the go pedal. Here comes the 69 machine of Matt Coker, though. They're going to be 3 wide for the race lead, into 1 just about. Peterson not able to run the line. I think he would want to. The 69 fighting side by side. Great job from Coker here on the restart, Cisco.
Yeah, the 69 absolutely took advantage of the 32 trying to jump it, but the problem is Coker has to make that extreme inside line work, and I'm not sure if he's going to. He's currently parallel with the 23 right now, but here comes the 32. The battle is on for the lead right now, and meanwhile the 99 of Tommy Ryan just sitting behind, letting those guys fight it out. They almost go 3 wide, but the 69 will not give up on the inside. And I think Tommy Ryan right now is loving this right now because he could save those tires and wait to see where he can go. Here he comes, the 99. We said we were going to see how good that car is. That's how good he is right now, side by side with Cucker.
Problem for him right now is he really has nowhere to go with Seth DeMerchant right in front of him. But DeMerchant, I think, wiggled a little bit through the middle. The 99 had to get off the throttle. And Matt Coker, a great run from the bottom and a big wreck coming out of corner number 2. 3, 4, 5, 6 cars. I think all facing the wrong way. Big problems out of 2 Austin.
Yeah, we got a large wreck, and it's for a matter of these guys, it looks like someone got hit in the right rear and actually turned them right up towards the wall, possibly in front. Yeah, Lisenby was involved. I think that was where the contact happened, and then poor Leveralt got involved as well here, and I think his might may be done as he hit the inside wall after the turn was over. And a lot of upset drivers here, as I'd say some of them have their nights over, and some of them are just going to be extremely wounded the rest of this race.
Yeah, I think that was Brandon Smith who really caused it. He got tight underneath the 03 machine through the middle of 1 and 2, pushed up, caught the rear of the 02 machine, maybe locked up a little bit, and then that caused a big pile up. A lot of guys really nowhere to go. Handful of cars with big race-ending damage after this one. Get a bit of a body count afterwards, but huge issue there, Cisco.
Yeah, and that was Lev was also got a piece of that. We talked about Lisenby. Brandon L. Smith came over the radio, said the brakes locked up for him. So sadly, the car locked up. Nothing he could do. Big also promised for the 07 Gary Weaver. Nowhere to go for that car. I think the 4 of Randy Yoakum somehow got through that, though he got tagged in the rear end. The 00 also has damage, so he's going to be in big trouble as well. A lot of damage on the A.J. Rogers machine. Just a lot of cars torn up after that one, and we're bleeding on the amount of cars we have left in this race here, Randy.
Talking about that number 4 machine and Randy Yoakum that you said, he's going to be on 155 lap old tires by the end of this. He's 11th. How?
Because he's been able to stay out of this.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job to get himself up there, and he doesn't. Sometimes when you're putting back in a corner, you just keep going. So I'm surprised, but not really. When you're put in a corner, sometimes as a driver, you start to drive a little bit smarter, a little bit more. I think you start to really use everything you've got in a smarter way. But thing that I start to think about, especially with this last caution, is that this is the second brake problem we've had, where the brakes start to lock up, and this is in the middle of the corner or the entrance of a corner. And what could possibly be happening is the drivers might be slamming on the brakes just a little bit, and with the new build with that front tire, if it starts to heat up a lot, it's going to actually lock up a lot quicker and start to slide a little bit more. And some of these drivers that don't race as often may not be used to that. Definitely something I've been thinking about. I think that's the second issue we've had with brakes tonight.
That it is. A lot of hard braking zones here at Iowa, but the most important thing to note, Cisco, lap 140 of 155, going to be 15 laps to go next time by, and I think we'll be getting the lights out on the pace car after that. Maybe get one more lap just, but it's not going to be a lot. Actually, no, we'll have a couple more laps. This is only the second lap under caution. I'm losing track of things. I'm going crazy because we're messing with text in our chat. Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? Because you can enable bold chat on TeamSpeak now, Randy. That's how important this is.
I would kick Hugo for distracting us, but he's a cameraman, so this is like rocking a hard place.
Yeah, well, you know who's a rocking a hard place right now? Matt Cucker, because he doesn't. I don't think he has the car left to be able to go up and challenge with the leaders. I don't think he has the tires to be able to do anything with that. But at the same time, he has the speed to stay up in that top group. He just doesn't have the car to be able to go up there and win a battle, I don't think.
That they do, as trying to get word what they're going to be doing for the restart. I think we're going to be getting a double file restart here, another attempt. They've kind of gone back and forth. They've gone single file at some points, but as the field has sort of started to thin itself out, they've been going back to the double files from the single files. And the way the field is currently forming up, Coop, I think your observation is right. Looking like a double file restart here.
Yeah, and when I saw that last restart, looking at the 32, he did jump it, but he jumped it so much I was expecting him to actually just kind of go and then get a penalty, but I think he may actually have a little bit of damage to that engine, possibly, and he may not have as much get-up speed as I was thinking. So if he's got radio communication with the 23, I think it's imperative that they talk about it, but it's getting down to the last few laps. I don't think that's going to happen, especially with the fact that one of these two guys, one of these top 4, I'd say, is going to win. And then I think the guy to watch is actually Tommy Ryan. Watching his last restart, I think he's got something for these guys. And I think now he's my pick watching that last restart here.
So inside of 28 laps to go here in your CEA East versus West and the Rest Challenge. Lights on the pace car are out. He'll be coming down onto pit lane, and Christian Peterson will be in command of the field. Going to be roughly 10 laps to go, more like 13 once we get the green flag here. Pace car on pit lane. Peterson in charge of the field. The Merchant, he jumped it a little bit last time. Didn't do it this time. Green flag back in the air, 23. Good jump, and Matt Coker is going to try to slot himself into the second spot in the inside of the 32. The Merchant, they're going to be close through 1 and 2 for the first time now. They go work down the back straightaway. 69, fantastic restart. Cisco gets second.
I think Coker just bullied his way past the 32, or the 32 just got a horrendous restart, and Tommy Ryan, who did not get a good restart, able to get past the 32. So I think Coop is right. I think there is problems with the 32's power plant. He doesn't look as fast as he did before. So Seth the Merchant, big problems for the 6-man 8 car, and as a result, it's fallen out of the top 3 and could be donezo for trying to win this thing.
Might be, but he hasn't fallen down much further than where he is. 3 wide, a little bit deep in the field, though. This is between the 29, the 4 machine of Yoakum, the 00 of AJ Rogers as well. They get it sorted through 3 and 4 and down your front straightaway. So a lot of aggressive racing up and down the field, but we need to keep an eye out in front. We're approaching 10 laps to go. Peterson well clear, but not a good run for him. Coop, 3 and 4, 69 at Coker, looks to the inside of the 23.
There he goes, but he doesn't even have the nose on him yet coming out of 4. He bullied the 32 out of the way. Is he going to do the same to the, or sorry, other numbers? He's going to do the same to the 23 here. And I'd say if it comes to the end, he might do that. But the more they fight side by side, that's going to bring the 99 and the 32 back in the picture. And I'd say once the Merchant actually is up to speed, he'll be fine. It just stinks that for him, that his go speed is not up there, but look at the inside. He's still there. That 69 is still able to hang on the inside. And you've got to think to yourself, what does he have in store if we have a little bit of a shootout? 5 laps and about just a couple laps. And I'd say once you get under 5 laps, you start throwing the kitchen sink at it if you don't have something for sure. So Peterson has it, but sometimes when you're in the lead, you've got nothing else that you can do. He runs a little wide in that corner, but that should get him a little bit more speed.
So quickly approaching 5 laps to go, and as they run, it's Peterson, Coker, Ryan, and DeMerchant all within about 0.3 of a second of one another. P5 of Herzog another few tenths back. So it's just these top 4 all fighting for your race lead and the win here tonight as they go into 3 and 4. And Cisco, I have to think at this point, if you're Tommy Ryan and Seth DeMerchant, you need to start racing now. Top 2 can be a little bit patient and maybe wait a little bit more, a little bit later, a couple extra laps before they start making moves. If you're Seth DeMerchant, if you're Tommy Ryan, you need to start working on the cars in front of you right now you work 7 laps to go.
But we've seen Tommy Ryan, we've seen Seth DeMerchant take it 3 wide and, you know, jump the gun on these guys. Yellow gonna be out here. I don't think this will be the end. I think they may get a shootout out of this. We'll have to see when the pace car picks him up. Yeah, he will pick him up here. I think this may not be over just yet.
Yeah, looks
Zach
like
Mecca.
Yeah. Looks like he got on the little bit of the apron and just actually self-inflicted wound, and once again Leveralt got involved with that one.
Yeah, nothing the 7 could really do there. Leveralt, just wrong place, wrong time. Big damage on that 7 machine, but I think you're right, Cisco. We will get this restarted here. It'll be a 1 to 2 lap shootout. Coop, you just said it. If we get a caution, this could be interesting. Who's your favorite?
Well, I'd say Peterson has it probably locked up on it, but it's gonna be that launch off the restart. I'd say the 32 is probably out on this one. Coker gets the outside line, which is definitely favorable for that 69. He's been very strong. I think he was the guy to beat until he got past, and then it was kind of whoever could get in front of that leader. It's hard to say really, because I think the 69 could actually probably pull this off, but it's so hard to get the leader I've seen so far in this race.
So just doing a bit of head counting here because this is the East and West Challenge. All these guys, I believe, are Club East here. So Club West really not doing it well. From San Diego here, Cisco, these West Coast guys, they got to step it up.
Yeah, they do, and maybe, Randy, you should get in the car for the next one of these.
No. I said they had to step it up. Why would I get involved with that? That would be a huge downgrade.
I might have to join. I'm in the West side.
That's true. That is true, but coming now, lap number 151.
Yes, but Austin, you're a Cardinals fan, so, I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Oh,
that's a hard rip. That's being a Cardinals fan. Let's be honest. That's unforgivable.
I'll take my leave, guys.
It happens. It happens. But let's see. Keeping an eye on the pace car. Lights have not gone out yet. Currently working lap 152. Let's see. This is the second lap of caution. I think we're gonna get 2 laps to go. I think the lights are going to go out next time, which will be 153. Then we'll have 154, 155. So I think what we're going to have here, Austin, proper green-white checker to bring it to the end.
Yeah, it does appear so. I don't have anyone in the sim to give me what lap numbers are on, and sadly, not even race control will know how many laps it is to green until you get 2 or 1 to green. So I'd say, yeah, we're gonna get the shot. We're also probably gonna get 2 green-white, just a green-white checkered, and if they get any caution before that green, then obviously it ends at that point. I'd say that's whenever we get to this point, I'd say the top 3 are going to go just absolutely bonkers for it. But know that the top 3 of the top 4 race on a regular basis with each other, and have to expect that they may really go for it. But I think they're going to still be a little courteous out there as well.
No, 1 to go. Randy.
Lights stay on. It's going to be a 1-lap run because there's no way I think the lights are going to stay on next time by. So 1 lap to get it done. And single or double file, Austin, do you have an ear?
I gotta say that this has got to be double, especially for this kind of restart. I'll definitely get confirmation here from Barnes in just the next few seconds, but I say that's what it's going to be.
So we're expecting double file restart. It's going to be Christian Peterson, from Matt Coker, from Tommy Ryan, from Seth DeMerchant. Guys that have been so strong all night. Matt Coker led the entire way in the first segment. Coming to segment 2, he's been running P2. Christian Peterson, we've seen have a strong night all night as well. Started 12th, gets himself to the race lead. That's after a big run, big win in the Legends race early on. Tommy Ryan started 4th, gets sent to the back after causing a slight incident. He goes from the back of the field up to P3. And Seth DeMerchant, Cisco, we saw him go from the qualifying race all the way up now to P number 4. Been a rough run night for him, but he's got himself up at the front. He's got 1 lap to maybe get it done.
Tommy Ryan may try and make that 3rd line work all the way on the extreme bottom here, but I don't think whatever's going to happen, I don't think it's going to be a clean finish here. But the good news for these guys is once they cross that line, it's kind of like the overtime line. Once you get past that, they're not throwing the yellow anymore, Randy. So all they have to do is make it to the start-finish line. Once that white flag comes out, whatever happens, happens. And by the way, just to note, East and West already figured it out. The East has, congratulations, they've got it. So at this point, you're racing for that payout.
You're racing for the win at this point. The East pretty much has this wrapped up. The West and the rest, well, not really doing very good tonight. But that said, 1-lap shootout. iRacing safety car coming onto pit lane. Christian Peterson brings them to green for the final time. Green flag is in the air. 23 on the go pedal. White in the air as well. Down the front straightaway and into 1 and 2 they come. The 99 and Tommy Ryan looks to the inside of Matt Coker for the 2nd spot. Is he going to be able to get it done? Yes, he does. Move the 99 up to P number 2. Big run off of corner number 2. Will he be close enough to the 23 of Peterson to make a move? To the outside goes the 99, trying to work that 3rd groove like Cisco talked about, but no one's going to be close enough. Peterson's going to win. Coker's going to get back to 2nd, and will DeMerchant snag 3rd? Yes, he does. So 99 of Tommy Ryan, Austin, goes from 2nd place in 1 and 2 to 4th coming off of 4. Big moves from Tommy Ryan trying to get the race win, but it cost him coming to the checkers.
That's an admirable move. Even though he did not get the result, he absolutely went for it. Went for the win. I think I watched him that whole time, knew he probably took a little bit more than his car could take. That was an incredible move by him. It's just sad that it didn't work out for him. I'd say you've got to try it. When he was so close, I mean, the lowest he was at in the last 20 laps or so was 4th place. So, I mean, what was the worst he could lose? I think he lost probably one more position than he was expecting if it didn't work, but well done. But in the end, Christian Peterson, I think, gets the upset over Matt Cucker, and Cucker did a fantastic job as well to get that finish as well, and DeMerchant came back, rallied, got a little bit of luck there towards the end, and got his finish only 5/10 off the lead.
Really, Cisco, I mean, I think right now for the 69 Matt Coker, that has to really hurt. The fact that you were so dominant through the first 60 or so percent of this race, to come up 0.3 of a second short, that is a bad way to end this run.
And I think Tommy Ryan tried to take the Carl Edwards method, just fire it into 3 and 4 and see if it sticks, and unfortunately for him, it didn't. So for those guys, it didn't work out, but for Christian Peterson, it worked out, and he wins the CEA East versus West in the Rest Challenge. And Randy, let's take him through the full field rundown.
So after 155 laps of action, this is your post-race results. Christian Peterson, well, bit of foreshadowing as it turned out in the Legends race. He wins the Legends race, and he takes the win here in the big K&N stock car race as well. Matt Coker finishes second after leading pretty much the entire way. Seth the Merchant starts in the back, finishes third. Tommy Ryan went to the end of the line at one point. He comes away with a 4th place finish. John Leday rounds out your top 5. Mark Herzog finishes 6th, Jody Green 7th, 8th is Jeremy Adams, 9th is Brian Hacker, and Randy Yoakum rounds out your top 10. AJ Rogers comes home in 11th with Tyler Simmons 12th, Mike Laneri 13th, Mikhail Lavreau 14th, and Kenneth Askey 15th. Matt Hummel, Zach Mecca, Brad Carpenter, Gary Weaver, and Justin Lasonby round out your top 20. Lasonby was really strong in the early stages, got caught up in an incident, finishes 19 laps down. Brandon Smith is 21st, Scott Austin 22nd, 23rd is Scott Naslund, Paul Fugate 24th, 25th Brian Sedzak. Now the rest of your field: Ronnie Osmer, Mike Powell, Ryan Nichols, Charles Lahr, John Olette, Wade Tashida, Josh Lee, James Curl, and Bob Lutz. We're going to step away for a few moments time and get post-race coverage underway here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live for your CEA East versus West in the Rest Challenge. Don't go away.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is going to be so fun. And it's going to be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome back to Racespot TV and iRacing Live, and it was a big night of racing for the CEA East versus West and the Rest Challenge. We're joined again, Randy Chineth, Cisco Scaramuzia, Hugo Louis, bringing you all the post-race action, and let's just kick it off with your post-race winners interview. That's going to be with the number 23 at Christian Peterson. As that's odd. 1 second. I am back. So we're now joined by the number 23 of Christian Peterson. Christian, big win for you today. You win the Legends race, and then you win the big race here tonight in the K&N car. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great, man. I don't know. I had a race there. That race was I got to the front, and it was between me, myself, Seth, and Matt. And we're all teammates there, so I knew it was going to be a blast to race those two. And I think we had, I don't know, like 30, 40 lap, I don't know how much it was. It felt like a while because we were racing so hard. But we had that long run, and we got to battle each other 3 wide a couple times. Like, oh, man, that's what you live for. I just wish we could have gotten a few more green flag runs there. But it was, all in all, it was a good race. And 2 for 2, can't complain about that.
Now, talking about these cars on this track, I mean, Iowa is somewhat known for its abrasive nature. Really does eat up tires. Knowing that you only had 1 set of tires for each segment, how were you driving the cars different from maybe, say, if you could have taken rubber at every potential caution? Were you driving at like 80%, 90% through the early section, or were you really pushing hard? How do the tires on this K&N car last?
Well, the first segment, the first 75, I think we had some green flag run. There was a bunch of yellows, like kind of towards the end of it, and the tires kind of felt brand new at the end of that segment. But at the beginning of it, I was probably driving around like 90%, just really backing up the corner and making sure I get a run off, because I want to wear the right rear out and not the right front. Because the right front was like I think it was in the first segment, it was like 90% on the right front and 94 on the right rear. And in the first segment, I was just testing everything I could do, bottom, top, middle, everywhere you could go, trying to make passes, do whatever. And I got to the front pretty quick, and that gave me a lot of confidence in how I was driving the car. And then at the end there, when I was able to keep up with Cucker, after driving through the field, that gave me even more confidence, going into the second one, thinking I could just drive the same exact way I did, and then I'll be able to pass him at the end. Because I felt like I was faster than him at the end of the second segment, but I think he was saving a little bit, or at the end of the first segment, I meant. But I think he was saving a little bit more than Seth and I were in the second one. So he came on pretty strong at the end, but I was lucky enough to hold him off.
So talking about these cars, I mean, how was it in that number 23 machine? You started 12th. How was it the racing change as you moved your way through the field from 12th up towards the top 3, top 4? How was it competitive throughout this whole 34-car field?
I don't know. It was funny, actually. I didn't expect the bottom to be so good at the beginning, and I was kind of able to just drive around people on the bottom, and I don't think anybody else was really I don't know if they were hesitant to try it, but that's how I did it. And then once I got up to like 5th, that's when it got more difficult to pass on the bottom. But you kind of just got to try to make them overdrive the corner on entry a little bit, because you can get a huge shot down the backstretch if you just back it up a little bit and check up your center.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Christian. Congratulations not only on the big win, but again for the Legends wins early on. We see 3 races tonight. You win 2 of them. Before we let you go, who you want to shout out? Who do you want to thank? Who gets it done for that 23 machine?
Just want to shout out everybody at Vincia Racing, Seth, Matt, Jeremy, John, Scott, Brad. I don't know who I'm missing. There's a bunch of us over there. I don't think we were all in the race, but everybody over there, we have a bunch of fun over there, and I was really happy to be able to race those 2 guys out there for the win. I knew it was going to be really clean. Gotta thank my parents. I think they're downstairs watching, and my boy Ty Stu right here cheering me on. It was pretty good. We got it done.
Thanks for joining us, Seth. Good luck to you and whatever future racing you end up in that 23.
Thanks.
Now we're going to be joined by the number 69 machine of Matt Coker. He's going to be talking with the ghost of Cisco Scaramuzza.
Yeah, a little bit of an inside joke there, but Matt Coker, you finished second, and you led so much of this race through the first half of it and just didn't have the tires to get it done. But Matt, talk us through the race. How was it out there battling with Peterson, DeMerchant, and Ryan towards the end of it, but just a battle for you all day?
The second half of the racing was by far the best racing I've ever had on the service. And racing with Seth and Christian 3 wide, and we didn't touch. We were battling for the lead, and you can't get anything better than that. And I don't know what to say. I mean, every time I'm racing Christian, I cannot beat him. He's that good now. I mean, we used to be fighting all the time for who would beat who, and lately it's just been him. He's been dominant, and I don't know what I got to do to beat him. Everything we were in, I mean, we did the legend car, and I got second to him there. The late model couple races back for CEA. I'm trying just to figure out what I got to do to beat him. I mean, he's just getting that good, and I mean, he's just giving me something to look forward to.
So would you say the teammate rivalry is on at that point between you two?
I wouldn't say it's a rivalry. It's just what I gotta do is step up my game to beat him. I mean, he's extending the point lead in our series, in the tour races. So it's not a rivalry. I mean, we'll share setups back and forth all day. It's just I got to make myself better to beat him, and because he's clearly done it, and now I just got to do it so I can beat him now.
And Matt, did you learn anything from this race in particular that you might be able to use in further races in CEA to help go out and beat Christian Peterson?
Honestly, no. I mean, the guy's pretty much unbeatable. He's been great, and I'm just gonna keep trying as much as I can. I mean, I started on a pole tonight, and I knew they were gonna come up through the field, him and Seth both, and I knew they were gonna be there at the end, and there was nothing I could do to stop that. The only thing I could have done was save tires a little bit better, which is what I started to do when Seth got by me. Seth got by me for the lead, so I just figured I'm gonna fall back here, save a lot, and then we had that restart where I got back in a second, and I was starting to nip at Christian's heels, and then we had that yellow, and then it was all over from there. Nothing I could do. But I would just want to say congrats to CP on the win and Seth on third.
I will say, Matt, a little bit different colors than the old late model stock, but sponsor shout outs. Who gets it done for you and the team on the 69?
Vincier, definitely. Vincier Racing. I mean, there's so many of us, and we're all great friends. There's no yelling, screaming. We're out there to race and have fun. I gotta thank Kamikaze Webworks, iAnalyzeRacing.com, and Globalcom. I mean, without all of them, we wouldn't be racing on iRacing. So glad we can do it and put on a show for everybody. And thank you guys for commentating a good race, and thanks CA for putting it on.
All right, well, that's Matt Cooker. He finished his second. Matt, well, we'll see you probably next time in the eSport Tour. Until then, we'll see you soon.
We'll be there. Thank you.
That's Matt Cooker. He finished his second here, and I'm going to slide down pit road, see if I can catch up with the guy who finished third, Seth the Merchant, who had to put on one heck of a show just to get back up there, Seth. You started 27th, got in on the LCQ, got into the race, and raced your way all the way up to finish third.
Didn't he get in on a provisional?
No, he won the LCQ, Randy.
Oh, that's right. My mind is broken. It's hot.
Well, Seth, Randy's mind is broken, but how are you doing after having to run through, about 24 cars or so?
Pretty good. That was some pretty intense racing there at the beginning. Pretty lucky that I was able to get through that many cars unscathed. I was really worried going into it because I missed qualifying yesterday and had to race my way in through the LCQ, and then I had to start, I think, 27th out of the cars, and just very, very hard to pass on this track. So I didn't think I really even had a shot at finishing like top 5, but luckily early in the race the track was in a condition where I could run the bottom. And
we saw you, I think it was the third replay to go, Seth, or the third restart to go rather, where you tried to get a jump on Peterson and mistimed it, and from there on it just didn't seem like your car had quite the restart speed. What happened?
Yeah, we had that like 35 lap run before that, and I used up all my tires trying to get by Matt to try to get the lead, because it's so hard to pass here that I thought if I could get up front that I would just be able to cruise home, because the bottom just really doesn't work anymore. And once Christian got by me with the lap traffic, and then we got that caution, that was pretty much my only shot to get back up front and have a chance at the lead.
Well, Seth, you put on an interesting show, and certainly the rivalry between the 23, the 69, the 32, they're not calling it a rivalry, but would you say you learned anything today to be able to help beat those guys on the track in the other races?
Don't miss qualifying.
Well, there you have it, Seth. Easy done, I guess, as it were, but sponsor shout-outs. Who gets it done for you in the 6-man team?
Just gotta thank P-Money Designs and Kyle Barnes for putting on the race.
All right, well, that's easy done. Seth the Merchant finishes P3 here. Seth, we'll see you soon. I'm going to pass the mic back up to you, Randy. And, well, we saw a little bit of everything out here. We saw some great, we saw a fantastic LCQ. It didn't finish quite as well as we wanted, but nonetheless, some great racing in there. Then we basically broke out the popcorn for the Legends race. That was pretty cool. And then a 150-lap feature here on the big track. And, well, as some of the drivers were saying, that was some of the best racing they had been a part of.
Yeah, that race really had a bit of everything. There were a lot of yellows, unfortunately, but we saw the race get strung out at one point. We saw the field get stacked back up, and then the fight for the lead for about 15 laps was just insane, where we saw 3 wide twice for the race lead. I'd say overall one of the most intense races I've ever watched. And I, as we get closer and closer to the end of the year, a lot of these special events tend to start popping up, and hopefully we get to see some more. Hopefully cover them here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live, because they are a blast. Well, hopefully you guys at LSR don't steal them all from us.
Well, remember that this is in fact the first race on the kind of stepping on the road to the iRacing Live Dash series that is coming soon, and that will be the support series for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series powered by iRacing. Similar to what we did with NASCAR Race Night, that season will run with the car that we just saw on track tonight, the iRacing K&N Pro Series car. We're going to be taking that and following, at least for the first season, we're going to be following the iRacing National Series schedule. So if you're interested in that, more information will be released with that as we get closer to that. But that should kick off around early July. Should be about second week in. But we're looking forward to doing that, Randy, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really cool to have racing back on both nights when we have peak, and then nights when we have peak off.
Yeah, our Tuesdays have been somewhat barren on our off weeks compared to last season. But regardless, that's going to do it for us here on Racespot TV and iRacing Live this evening. Thanks for everyone who helped us put this one on. Race was fantastic. Hope to see you all tune in to another show on Racespot TV or iRacing Live, maybe even LSRTV later on down the line. But from Randy Chinnett, Cisco Scaramuza, Austin Coop, and Hugo Louis, that's going to do it for us this evening. Bye-bye.